Today is the day we find out who wins the Aimchess Rapid. It's either going to be Jan-Krzysztof, who played fantastic chess on the first day of the final and won the first match, or Shakhriyar Mamedyarov, but he will have to make a comeback and win today's match to take it to tiebreaks.
This move I have never seen before.
It's now or never for Giri. You've got to call that Prag style.
They're playing like stockfish.
He's gone for it.
White hanging on, and he's dropped a bishop.
Dropped his bishop.
Handsome mistake.
This is so difficult.
Whoa! Oh!
No way!
Magnus has logged off. What has happened?
Magnus has resigned.
Magnus Carlsen. He is the winner of the Julius Baer Generation Cup. This is tournament number 8 in the Meltwater Champions Chess Tour 2022. It is the final regular event, and after this, only one more event to go. The tour finals in San Francisco next month. Both of these players, Jan-Krzysztof and Shakhriyar Mamedyarov, will be playing in that final event from reaching the final in this event. But who will win it? Jan-Krzysztof or Shakhriyar Mamedyarov? To guide us through this final day, as always, Grandmaster David Howell and International Master Jovanka. And David, who will win it? Will it be Jan-Krzysztof who is in the lead?
He's got to be a big favourite at the moment, Duda. He played, he played great yesterday, and the way that the day ended for Mamedyarov, I think that'll be a bit of a dampener for him. So I think Duda, he's in charge, and he knows it at the moment.
We didn't really see those crazy sacrifices, the Shakhriyar Mamedyarov we have seen previously in this tournament. Jovanka, what does he need to do differently today to win the match?
Well, unfortunately, he will have to bring his A game, because Jan-Krzysztof yesterday was so impressive, and the only way you can beat a player in such good form is to simply pile the pressure on them, and you have to be precise in those critical moments. Yesterday, we saw Mamedyarov slip up in those particular moments where he could have applied some pressure.
Let's go back to yesterday. The first match in the final, 4 rapid games. It was won by Jan-Krzysztof.
The position is critical, and take a look at the bar. I mean, it absolutely confirms it. Duda now has a winning advantage.
Look at this. It's a passed pawn 2 squares away. This king in the corner is just as weak as White's king, actually. White's king at least can run. He's going for checkmate, Shak, but is he going to get mated himself?
Yeah. The white pawn is simply going to step forward, attack the rook, and there it comes. The rook will move, and now it's big trouble for Shak. But can Duda finish him off?
Black's rook and bishop, they're tied up in knots. The black rook has to move. It has to keep defending its bishop, but yeah, the other rook is going to drop.
And Shak looks away. He knows his position is lost, and it's over.
He lets his clock run out, Shak, and he loses game 2. Wow, he finds a tactic. Jan-Krzysztof has he just won a pawn? He's gambling now.
Totally. I mean, he's kind of hoping for Duda to capture that pawn with the wrong pawn.
He tried so hard to avoid a forced draw in the opening that he ended up with a losing position by move 20. 4 pawns up for Duda now.
It's just devastating. It's such a great position.
It's over. A loss in game 4 and also a loss in the match for Mamedyarov. Oh, he doesn't look happy. Jan-Krzysztof he won both of his games with the white pieces. The 2 other games where Mamedyarov had the white pieces ended with draws. So he won that first match. And Shakhriyar Mamedyarov today, with 4 rapid games to be played, he has to win this match to take it to tiebreaks and win the Aimchess Rapid. And he really did struggle with the black pieces yesterday. How impressed were you with the tactic that Duda came with?
Yeah, Duda, in the interview afterwards, he said he didn't come with a specific strategy. He was just trying to play chess. But I think he chose his openings very wisely, very well. So although Mamedyarov got some life in the games, he always started from a disadvantage in order just to complicate things. And Duda, if he keeps with the same strategy, if he's consistent, if he's very calm, with white, he's going to be, I think, having great chances. It's when Mamedyarov has white, that's where his chances lie, because he can guarantee his type of position.
What is your experience playing with Shakhtar Mamedyarov when he has the white pieces?
Yeah, I've played him in many blitz games, many rapid games, and whenever he has white, I'm terrified from move one. You know he's going to come at you, you know he's going to attack, and just like yesterday, there was a crazy game when Mamedyarov had white. So, yeah, I think that is his best chance today, for sure. It's just about holding with black, winning with white.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. He's beaten Magnus, Anish Giri, several players. Richard reported only 16 moves this tournament, Mamedyarov. So how impressed were you with Jan-Krzysztof Duda yesterday?
Yeah, I've been impressed, not just yesterday, but throughout the entire tournament. Duda, he's been getting better and better every day, and that's hard to do because he did win the prelims. He started on a high, but he's just looking very composed, very calm. He's in the zone, as we say in chess, and yesterday was just a continuation of that, really. He just never looks in trouble, never looks flustered.
And if he ties today's match, he's going to be the winner of Aimchess Rapid. It's up to Mamedyarov to make that comeback. So what do you expect from this final day?
I think Mamedyarov, he's going to go down fighting. It's all or nothing, and that's his style. So it fits in with his personality, taking risks, going for the opponent's throat, and it might not work, it might not pay off. Duda is still the favorite, but he's going to entertain us along the way.
Yeah, and we did talk to Jan-Krzysztof Duda yesterday after he won the match. He has now set a new personal record in the Meltwater Champions Chess Tour. Now, I have to tell you, Jan-Krzysztof, you now have a tour rating of 28-24. That is a peak for you on the tour. Do you feel like you're playing the best chess you played on the tour so far?
It's a difficult question, but I'm very happy with how many points I actually get, because there are always some ups and downs, but in many tournaments I was also kind of satisfied with my play, but results weren't exactly there. So if you combine both of these elements, it's perfect. And yeah, maybe it's actually kind of the best performance in Meltwater Champions Chess Tour.
Yeah.
But it's difficult to judge.
And tomorrow, day 2 of the final. Are you looking forward to it?
Not really. I think I guess it could be over by now.
Yeah.
But of course, it's like it will be anything but easy for me, and but I'm in very comfortable situation, and yeah, also looking forward to this match.
Yeah.
I mean, if I have to play it, I think it will be a lot of fun, actually.
You wish it was over, Jan-Krzysztof Duda. He could celebrate today, but he has to play today as well, and he needs to at least tie the match to be the winner of the Aimchess Rapid. And he says he's a little tired. Can you relate to that, David? Playing chess 8 days, how exhausting is it?
It is completely exhausting. I think towards the end of every day after those marathon games, they'll be going back. They'll be sleeping immediately, essentially, if they can switch off. And yeah, you feel the tiredness, especially towards the end of the event. Yeah. When you're close to that last day, they know they're at the finishing line now. They just need to make that final step, and they'll collapse once today is over, whether they win or lose, both players.
And hopefully Mamedyarov still has some energy to make that comeback. He has experience. He has made comebacks against Duda before. This is from Oslo Esports Cup in May. And in their match, Duda won the first game. But Mamedyarov did make a comeback to take it to tie breaks. Do you think he's capable today, Jovanka?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he is such a dangerous player, and he's done it before. I mean, he also took it to tie breaks against Richard Rapport. You know, he scored that clutch win when he needed to. And of course, Jan-Krzysztof Duda does allude to the fact that, you know, playing the second day of the final, you can get nervous. You can, you know, you think about the future and you can stress about that. So, I mean, it is possible for Mamedyarov. He just has to relax and play his genius style of chess and just wait for those small moments to come. I mean, you know, we're talking about moments a lot, but it's so true.
Definitely. And in those blitz tiebreaks in Oslo, Jan-Krzysztof Duda won both blitz games to win that match. And if it does end up in tie breaks today, David, who do you hold as a favorite? What is the experience with these two players in Blitz?
Yeah, so Duda, he has a very good record against Mamedyarov in Blitz, winning last year in the Tour finals and winning earlier this season. So he would be the favorite on paper. However, if we do get to that phase, it will have meant that Mamedyarov has made a comeback, and he'll be carrying momentum with him. He is a momentum player. And just as we saw, as Jovanka mentioned, in those semi-finals against Richard Rapport, he made the comeback just at the last moment, and then he went on to win the Blitz. So if it gets down to that phase, we'll just be grateful we get more chess. But yeah, it'll be very close, very fast and furious either way.
Yeah. $25,000 is at stake for the winner, $15,000 for the runner-up. And I asked David, and I'll ask you as well, Jovanka, what do you expect from this final day of Aimchess Rapid?
Oh, it's going to be exciting. I mean, I do think that Mamedyarov is your do-or-die man. He will go down fighting. He's just going to come out swinging. That's what I think. And I've noticed both these players play very quickly, and their styles are so dynamic that the action will happen very early on in the game, and then we will know exactly what the result should be of the game within move 40, I think.
Yeah. So let's take a look at the schedule for this final day of the tournament. So 4 rapid games to decide this final match. Now, if Jan-Krzysztof Duda wins game 1 and 2, it will already be over. And if he scores 2.5 points by game 3, he will also be the winner, also by game 4. So it is up to Mamedyarov to win this match within those 4 rapid games to take it to Blitz tie breaks. After the first game today, we're going to be joined by someone from the app called Meetup. It's actually a possibility now to create communities for chess around the world, so we're going to talk about that. And later today, we're also going to build up again to the Fischer Random World Championship starting in a few days in Iceland. It is 50 years ago since Bobby Fischer became world champion in exactly Iceland.
When he has won this match, has become the world champion, he basically walks off the stage. He disappears.
He disappeared, Bobby Fischer, and he reappeared to move later to Iceland. That is where the World Championship will take place, starting on Tuesday. Magnus Carlsen will play, Hikaru Nakamura will play, Wesley So, and some other great players. But now it's all about this big final in the Aimchess Rapid. Jan-Krzysztof Duda is sitting in Poland, Shakhriyar Mamedyarov in his home country, Azerbaijan. 3 minutes to go until the start. What are they usually doing at this point, David?
So, knowing the top chess players, they like to get in a bit of chess prep, looking at some technical things, for example, openings. I think the wisest way to spend the time, however, is to just turn off, just to make sure you're in the zone, meditate maybe, just make sure you're 100% ready when the game comes. But yeah, the top players, they spend every second possible studying openings.
Yeah. What do you think will be the opening? So, game 1, Duda will today have the white pieces.
Yeah, I think he will choose more or less the same setup that he chose yesterday. So I think he's going to push forward with the queen's pawn and keep the positions closed. That would be my guess. But, you know, these two players, they love their energetic positions, so anything can happen. I started chuckling, Kaja, when you asked David the question, because in my mind, I had the scene from Saved by the Bell, where they had chess club and they were training for chess by doing chess exercises with their fingers.
Gotta train everything you can. And today we have a new competition for our viewers. We're giving out another one of our very cool chess mugs. This one with David's face on it.
I know, and we are asking, hey, or shall I let you do it?
You guys can check out how alike it is.
That is our prize. And today we are asking you guys at home to show us your best chess meme. Yes. As always, you can tweet us using the hashtag #ChessChamps, and one lucky winner will win this beautiful mug of David.
Oh, how cool is that? You can drink coffee, tea, whatever you want from a mug with Grandmaster David Howell's face on it. Very cool. Share your best memes. Yesterday, you guys were super funny with chess jokes, and I expect the same today. We know you guys are very creative. And hopefully, we'll have some creative chess on the board today. We usually do, especially when Shakhriyar Mamedyarov is one of the players. And he is now getting ready to start with the black pieces. This is Duda, not here.
We
quite
see
yet.
he's back.
Oh,
Very impressive chair.
What's this? Aha.
Yeah, his nice gaming chair there, secret lab, I think.
And it looks like he's wearing sweatpants. How nice is that to compete for $25,000 wearing your sweatpants?
Work from home gear.
Yeah. That looks nice. Is Shakhriyar Mamedyarov by the computer yet? He is playing from Baku. We heard it's been very windy in Baku. But it didn't bother him, he said. Jan-Krzysztof Duda playing from Poland, getting ready. He's going to have the white pieces. Did he have... So he didn't play the same openings yesterday, did he, with the white pieces? Or was it the same kind of openings with the white pieces?
It was also the way he kind of manipulated the kind of late opening, early middle game. He made sure he was always in control. He always had a bind, as we say in chess. It was hard for Mamedyarov to break out. It was hard for him to create anything, and that can be frustrating for the opponent. And I do feel that this game one, the first game of today, is crucial. If Duda strikes first, he has white. He won twice with white yesterday. If he gets the first win, Mamedyarov might go on tilt. We saw that in the final game yesterday, where Mamedyarov with black didn't really believe in his chances, so he just blitzed out the whole moves, the whole game, and then he just resigned. So, yeah, I think Mamedyarov needs to survive this first game. Even a draw is a great result for Mamedyarov in this first one. Just get the black game out of the way, survive, and move on to the next one.
Okay, yeah, so this first game is actually super important. Mamedyarov needs to feel at least inspired after it.
Yeah, it will set the whole mood of the whole tournament, the whole match, because if he loses, he's also must not lose situation. And, well, you know, it's very difficult to play chess when your back is right up against the wall. And we see Shak getting ready. He's a very cool customer.
I mean,
he looks like the boss,
day.
right? Yeah. I mean, but I really love his style. I love the fire that he brings to the board. And we see Jan-Krzysztof develop his King's Knight and now push the Queen's Pawn forward.
Yeah, so by transposition, it started as a reti, it's now gone into the Queen's Gambit, and it's the Queen's Gambit accepted, meaning that black did temporarily go a pawn up, but that gambit has now, that gambited pawn has now been recovered, and still a very typical type of position. This is mainline theory. If you've ever looked at the Queen's Gambit accepted, you will have seen this position. Black's whole idea is to push pawns on this left side, white's bishop has been kicked back, and black's light square bishop, normally the problem piece, is now quite a good one. And there's been a lot of debate about this position in recent times, Jovanka.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I can see many games on the database, and I'm just going to have a look at which one is the most popular move. It's actually popular for white just to develop the Queen's Knight, just to put it in front of the Queen and just continue development. I have to say one thing about this position. It's actually very difficult for black to win this. It's a very solid choice from Mamedyarov.
Yep. And as we mentioned, solid maybe is not the worst thing in the first game, at least. With black, to survive is the goal. So Mamedyarov has clearly prepared this.
Do you want to hear the stats, though?
OK, hit me with those stats.
42% victory for white, 40% victory for black, and 18% victory. Sorry, 40% victory is a draw. What am I saying? 40% is just a draw, 18%.
For black?
For black.
Wow, OK, so white has a very good score,
Yeah,
actually.
very good score.
Okay.
And, OK, what did he choose? OK, he picked up his A-pawn and challenged black's pawns there on the left. And this one doesn't have as good a win rate for white, only 34%.
OK.
And 25% for black.
OK, so reasons to be optimistic for Mamedyarov. Maybe the first small surprise of the game, white pushing this pawn, but it's quite logical.
It is.
It's quite typical in these ideas. Black had some strong pawns over there on the left side, so you loosen them up. And now white's knight is running forward, and it's got a nice outpost. White's knight is heading towards c4, where it can no longer be challenged. And first, I expect Duda to maybe bring his rook into the game. That rook in the corner. There we go. Just activating all the pieces. There's no calculation to be done, nothing really to work out in this position. Just general principles, improve your worst placed piece. White's queen maybe could be improved in the next 3 or 4 moves. White's other rook needs to get into the game somehow. But first, maybe that white knight is coming forward.
Yep, I agree. I think a knight will definitely come forward. I wonder whether, I mean, yesterday we saw the knight come into the centre quite often. Do you think it will happen again?
Yeah, we saw that in both games from Duda, right? Both games, Duda landed with a knight on e5 on this square in the middle of the board. And it was powerful both times. He had quite a consistent run of luck with that idea. And will he play it again? I'm more expecting the other knight to move first. Yep, there we go. So this is the c4 square that we mentioned earlier. Can never really be challenged by a pawn. The only way you can ever trade off this piece is with your own knight. So we might see that one from black later. But first, Mamedyarov, he can't delay it too much longer. He needs to castle his king. And once he does, let's assume he does it now, after a little bit of thinking, then it will be time for Duda to decide, how do you get this rook in the game? Maybe you lift your queen up somewhere, maybe you move the queen, you shift the rook across at some point. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes back to his tried and trusted method of dropping the other knight into the center. For example, now black probably, okay, it does happen, probably doesn't want to take, I was going to say, because white's pawn could capture, and suddenly this attack in the knight, and white has a launch pad on the d6 square, supported by white's pawn. Looks pretty nice for white, so black doesn't really want to release the tension yet.
Yeah, I mean, this is very well known, and actually the most popular move by a long shot is to capture the pawn in the middle.
Yeah, so first you take a pawn, and only when, and it has happened, only when white recaptures with the bishop or with the queen, then maybe you trade off a set of knights, and things are getting hoovered off the board. It's just about whether long-term, the pawn structure, for example, on the left side of the board, whether this is a bit loose for black. These two pawns are potentially weak. For example, this white bishop, kind of long-term, wants to eye up this pawn. For black, meanwhile, the big advantage in this type of position is that the knight sometimes has access to this square because you have pushed your pawn forward quite far. So it's just small strategic things here. But it's a very cagey battle, and I'm surprised Duda's thinking, because, yeah, again, this is quite a typical type of position. You can predict this pretty much if your opponent plays this opening. But, OK, both players have been very quick up to this point.
Yeah, definitely.
I was just going to ask, do you think Duda is surprised by Shaq's opening choice, that he's chosen such a solid variation, or was he expecting something a bit more cutthroat?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess Shaq hinted yesterday in one of the games that he was going down the Queen's Gambit accepted. If you remember the Reti opening yesterday, he took a pawn on c4 very quickly. So he's kind of hinting that he was preparing this opening. But yeah, for the match situation, for the match itself, it's a questionable choice. I guess Shaq, he just wants to survive this one, and then maybe game 3, when he has his next black, then he'll know whether he needs to win or needs to take more risks, and then he'll choose a different one. His black opening from game 4 yesterday was a bit of a disaster in the end. So this one more solid.
We are obviously aware of the chess world talking about Hans Niemann's recent lawsuit, and I just wanted to say one thing about it. So since Play Magnus Group is included in the complaint, we will not talk about this at the current time, and today in the studio we'll only focus on the big final in Aimchess Rapid. And what do you think right now, David? Will this game end up with a winner or a draw?
It's hard to say. Early days, I'm going to say it's going to be decisive, just because it's these two players. They're both really ambitious. I'm going to pick white slightly because I've looked at these types of positions before, and black has to be quite careful. Black has to be accurate in order to fully equalize. At the moment, black is still fighting for that equality. How about you, Jovanka? Any predictions? You think draw?
Draw. In the middle, 50%.
Attention.
Yeah, exactly. And, well, we do have a competition where we're asking you guys to show us your best chess meme for a chance to win a mug with David's mug on it. And Tapes New Bane says that they have showed us a meme and says that that's literally me. Don't know if this is the best. Here we go. You can see. Top players when they are down a pawn. Me when I'm down Hang on, I'll read it here. Me, who is the queen and rook down. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
And there we see the knights leave the board, getting one step closer to the tension going. And Dennis M. Forster also shares with us a meme. Let's see if we can bring it up.
We see a confident Ergaisi there.
Yeah, this one's a classic.
Oh, yeah, we love
a
this.
moment of tension in the Vatican. If the bishop moves forward, the queen can take him. That one was doing the rounds last year. It was such a good one.
Yeah.
So keep them coming. Remember, you can tweet us your memes using the hashtag #ChessChamps.
Funny. I like that picture with the queen.
Yeah, and meanwhile, that knight trade has happened. Duda takes back with a bishop. I vaguely remember, this is maybe 6 months ago, I was looking at this position from the white side, and I remember thinking that the white queen taking that pawn was the acid test of black's opening. But taking back with a bishop also looks very healthy. White's bishop now controls a lot of squares. It needs to be traded off at some point. Mamedyarov needs to neutralize the strength of white's knight and white's bishop next to it. Those two pieces in the center of the board do control, do dominate proceedings at the moment. But it is black's move, so he has a bit of time, no direct threats on the board. Mamedyarov, yeah, it feels like he's impatient to kind of make his comeback. Yeah. He's just playing so quickly. Move 16, and only now is he ticking under 15 minutes. Great preparation, but also just confident, I guess.
Yeah, definitely confident. And now he's taking a pause. Still a little bit baffling, actually, because we're still in the realms of theory. This position has been played many times. Most of the moves that black plays are simply improving moves. So the knight will jump forward to c5. A black pawn will come and protect the b4 pawn, yeah, and finally another one is actually to centralize the light squared bishop. So these moves don't have any specific plan, they're just simply improving, maximizing the potential of the black pieces.
Yeah, this one looks nice and healthy. Later you can hint, I don't think you want to rush, but you can hint that you might take this knight at some point, because this is a very strong piece, as we mentioned. I like this one as well, just fixing your pawns, kind of defending them as a pair here. They defend each other. The only downside is that the black queen has to stay kind of defending this pawn because white's knight is also attacking it at some point. And the other move also, maybe the most natural move, I guess, bring the black knight forward. Normally they say knights before bishops, so the knights lead from the front. Okay, he chooses the other method you mentioned there, Jovanka, bring the bishop to the center. We could see, for example, if white plays a quiet move, black go for symmetry. So here we see black's knight spring forward, and these four pieces, they're just all equally strong. And they can trade off for each other, but that would only lead towards a draw. So, yeah, in the current position, it looks like Mamedyarov has found a nice way with his bishop in the center of the board to lock things up.
Yeah. And again, this has been played before. I have to say, this bishop centralizing itself wasn't the most popular move, just primarily because it's not the most natural. And here, white has played two options. One of them is very intriguing, actually. It's actually to step forward with the A pawn and just fix black's pawn on a6 and make it a permanent liability.
And this looks like a pawn sacrifice initially, but I don't think it is. After bishop takes knight, we would see an exchange. Black's queen can now suddenly swoop out and capture this pawn. It's no longer defended, but at the end we would see, actually there's a couple of tactics here. For example, white's rook, if it wants to, if you want to keep things simple, could just swing across, hitting the black queen, but also picking up the black pawn behind it once the queen moves. There are also tricks in this position, for example, by looking at loose pieces. This knight is undefended. You could consider maybe jumping out the way with the white bishop, going to capture a pawn, and when black recaptures with the king, queen takes knight. That was a loose piece. You've regained your pawn as white, and black's king is out in the open. So yeah, I really like this move, Jovanka, that you pointed out, just pushing this pawn forward. And if black doesn't go for that kind of that continuation that we just showed, then this pawn clamps down. It supports maybe an invasion on this square. So, for example, the white knight or white bishop could use this square. That's a Duda type of move.
It is a Duda. We actually saw Duda do that.
Oh, in game 2 yesterday.
Game 2. Oh. I was suddenly just taken aback by my Duda do that. So it was a bit of a mouthful. Yeah.
Yeah, this pawn push, he played something very similar yesterday.
Yeah, he did.
Will he do it again?
I think so. And maybe this could be that small inaccuracy that I'm talking about. Maybe he should have, Mamedyarov should have taken the time out to prevent White from advancing this A-pawn. And yeah, that's perhaps why the bar is slightly in White's favour.
So would that be the most ambitious move by Duda right now?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. Maybe some small risk involved if you push your pawn into Black's half of the board because it becomes more vulnerable than it is right now. White's pawns on the left side, they protect each other, they're very safe. But if you want to be ambitious, fix your opponent's weaknesses, stop your opponent's pawns from connecting with each other, then yeah, you play that move. And only then do you start to maybe formulate a longer-term plan. Duda spending 3 minutes now. It's hard to see what else for White, to be honest. White's queen could step up, I guess, just to bring the other white rook next to the, sorry, this side, next to the white king. That needs to be improved, but that would be very slow. Yeah, push that pawn. I think at least that would ask questions of Mamedyarov.
Oh, he doesn't. He
moves his queen.
Yeah, and I wasn't expecting this one, and I think the database is going to tell me it's a novelty. No one has played this queen move. They'd actually stepped up the queen 1 square forward. Here, she's at her maximum potential, but I think perhaps Shakhriyar should take the opportunity and step up his A-pawn, prevent White from clamping down.
That would make a lot of sense. Also, this white queen's slightly vulnerable. The black knight could go and attack her. So yeah, I'm also slightly baffled by this choice of square by Duda. There's some logic behind it. White's other rook now on the f-file wants to swing across behind that white queen. So yeah, there is a plan, but not the most natural from Duda. And Mamedyarov has now paused. Often if your opponent plays an unnatural move, right, it's just human instinct to be like, what's that? And try to reformulate your plans.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you always do that. I mean, even if your opponent plays the most terrible move, I mean, most people's reaction is always just to take a step back and go, hang on a second. I thought this was not possible because of this. And then, you know, once you gather your thoughts, you gather your emotions, then you play your move. Actually, it's very good advice always to pause, even if the move you're going to play is very obvious. Because then you just have a quick scan, you look at the alternatives, and, you know, they have this old maxim, which is like, when you see a good move, stop and look for a better one.
Okay.
And that's... Yeah. It's very basic, but it's very much worth your while.
Yeah, I call it a blunder check. Just in case you're accidentally putting a piece on a bad square or dropping a piece on the other side of the board, just scan, 10-second scan. OK, my pieces are safe, they won't fall off the board, and then you can move.
So how does that work in practice? So to do that 10-second scan, the move you want to make, you make it in your head and just double check that, OK, with this piece here, my king isn't in danger, my pieces can't be taken. Is that the scan you make?
Essentially, yeah. I mean, there are different levels you can go to. Often I'm just like, OK, did my opponent have a threat? No, I don't think he did. And then I can play my plan. OK, the opponent has a threat now on the board. Mamedyarov attacking the white queen with Black's knight. Duda has 2 options. He's either got to retreat that white queen off to the left somewhere, just step her back a square or 2, or Duda can remove this knight from the board. He can capture this knight. Normally, you don't want to part with your bishops. Bishops are fantastic pieces because the center of the board is quite open. It's not locked down with pawns. And White's dark square bishop in the center looks fantastic. So I'd be reluctant to trade it off, but...
Yeah, don't trade it off.
That would be a safe option, I guess.
Again, if you paid me, I would never, ever trade off that beautiful dark square bishop for that knight.
Yeah,
it's not worth it.
I agree. I would be very reluctant. But Duda's pausing, which makes me think he's going to do it. Normally when Duda stops... Okay,
no. Retreat the queen, move her away. I mean, lots of people will be asking us, but why did Duda put the queen on such a weird square, on the first row?
Yeah. And that would be a good question. The thing is, queens, just like bishops, they are long-range pieces, so actually they do a good job supporting the army from behind. They're like those archers in war. You don't want to use your archers at the front because you need to give them range. You need to keep them safe as well. And they can hit their targets from any distance. And queens are actually completely fine. You just need to keep them safe for the endgame. You only want to put queens in the middle of the board when there's virtually no pieces left. So white's queen, just tuck her away. You often see this, queens just staying at the back with their rooks. It's the knights and bishops that go first to fight hand to hand in combat.
Yeah, like you say, they're long-range pieces. They can do their work from the first row. And whilst the players are thinking, I would like to share with you a meme from Craig E, who says, I feel this meme on a personal level. There's me as Hikaru, blundering my queen in the opening. We've all been there, we've all done it. And there's my opponent using half his time trying to figure out the gambit. And this picture is a classic because, you know, Levon Aronian is playing, but he was playing our very own David Howell. And he too sacrificed, was it a piece?
Yeah, knight. Yeah. And it didn't work. So I just took the knights and I won the game. And yeah, I felt guilty, but Hikaru was just staring down Levon the whole game, being like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing?
That's true. I've seen video from that because you were commentating with Simon.
I was commenting with Simon, and we were just like, "What is going on?" And Hikaru also was like, "I don't understand." And then he kept going, "I don't understand." And Levon just looked like the most confident person ever, and he was even stretching his thing, and we were like, "No, we don't see it." And
but did it bother him to have? Has he said afterwards, Levon?
He didn't say anything about Hikaru, no. I'm not sure whether he was aware. Levon was still focused on the board. Actually, at some point, I had to just put my hands over my head because I could keep seeing. I could keep seeing.
So he was
Hikaru.
bothering you a little bit.
Yeah, and then I was trying not to laugh, so I had to go and walk around and leave the board for a second because Hikaru was just. But at that point, it was already clear I was winning, so it wasn't kind of distracting or it wasn't giving hints or anything. But, yeah, that's a memeable moment.
Oh, nice. Beating Levon Aronian.
Yeah,
incredible,
my best
David.
games, I've got to say.
Yeah.
Wow.
And your Karukan, your beloved Karukan.
It was in my Karukan. Yeah, I was very happy. And it was the final round in Gibraltar.
Yeah, I woke up 10 minutes before the game. I was like, oh my God, I'm late. It's a 10-minute walk to the tournament hall from the hotel. And I was like, oh, what opening am I going to play? And in my head, I was like, OK, toss a coin, basically. And Karukan, it worked.
Toss a coin?
I mean, I didn't physically, but in my head, I was like, OK, eeny, meeny. E5 or C6 on move 1. And luckily, I chose the Karukan.
Yeah.
And OK, meanwhile, Black's knight comes into the centre of the board. And hinting that it might jump even further in. I'm not sure whether there's a threat on the board. Maybe there is, Jovanka.
Maybe there is, yeah. Maybe he's planning a deep, cunning threat of actually trading off dark-squared bishops, or maybe trading off the bishop for the knight.
Yeah, exactly. So, for example, if white takes time out and just pushes a pawn, giving some space to the white king, then, like you said, bishop takes knight. Bishop takes this knight. The whole idea is that, OK, there's a threat on this bishop, so you have to recapture. And Black's knight would jump in with a double attack, a fork. And Black would win material. So this Black knight is a bit of a nuisance, having jumped in. It can't quite access this square. This is the dream for Black. If you can maybe trade off White's dark squared bishop later on, this is the dream outpost on c3, supported and anchored by this pawn. But, OK, how does White deal with that threat while also trying to kick the knight out? The first move that comes to mind would be, for example, centralizing this white rook. This was White's worst piece. You don't allow any forks right now. You're opposite the Black queen as well. But maybe Mamedyarov, if he's just going to ignore this, he's going to say, OK, now I trade off your dark-squared bishop. And once that happens, for example, let's say White helps out and trades those pieces off on Black's terms, suddenly the knight is coming in with a fork anyway. And we might see this on the in the game. White's rook did slide across, and he really cannot allow this knight in, Duda. If he does, it's going to be a disaster for White. Again, for example, just to show a fork. And even if Black wasn't winning material, this knight is worth a whole piece. It's so strong. And he's going for this strategy. Mamedyarov, OK, he's trying to trade off this dark-squared bishop so the Black knight has access. What do you think? It's... Yeah. Oh, wow. The evaluation bar really shifting. Is there something wrong tactically with this move? Strategically, we've explained it's very sensible, very logical. We can understand why Mamedyarov went for it. But what could be the downside? Is it
just attacking the knight?
Yeah, you're right, Jovanka. So White has 2 moves to get an advantage. Anything else, Black has the advantage. But both of the moves, they're the same topic, the same theme. attacking this knight. As we mentioned, you can't let it in. So white's best move, actually, it's very logical when you think about it, is to attack it. The best move is actually to attack with the bishop from this angle. Second best move is to attack the knight from this angle with the bishop. Both of them similar, actually. So, for example, if you move your bishop into the center,
He finds it.
he finds the best move.
Of course. He's a player on form, isn't he?
He's banging form, Duda, so accurate. And yeah, he's attacking this knight. For example, bishop takes bishop now. This bishop would not be recaptured. There's no time. You have to get rid of the black knight first. So you take with the knight. You take it with your bishop. And suddenly black has actually serious problems. Too many pieces in this d-file. The two bishops, for example, again, if there's another trade, this is a deadly pin. And black would lose his bishop or his queen behind. Yeah, this really nice move there from Duda. I think Mamedyarov, he underestimated this idea, to be honest. He was too focused on his own plans and forgot that white has something to say about it.
Yeah, I can't blame him, actually, because I was also following the same path that Mamedyarov was thinking. I was just thinking, yeah, trade off the bishops, enjoy active pieces. And instead, there was so much danger in the position. And of course, it makes sense when you think about it. The white rook stands opposite the black queen.
Yeah. Tactics always work in your favour in that scenario, right? Queens, they never feel more uncomfortable than when they're stared down by a rook. So, yeah, you're right, Jovanka. Actually, the ingredients are here for tactics to work in white's favour. Also, if you count the pieces that are in the game, pretty much all the pieces are in the game, apart from black's rook next to his king. So black is playing without a piece right now. And therefore, the two white rooks in the centre, they're making things work.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Do you think Mamedyarov now is aware that he's in trouble?
Yes. Change in body language.
Yeah, the penny has dropped. He knows. It's very, very much apparent, you know, the head in his hands. He's thinking now, and now he has to just play out of his skin in order to save this position and equalise.
Yeah, how do you pull the brakes, though? How do you go solid suddenly for black? I didn't really see. Maybe you have to move the black knight, but where to? You can't allow that knight to be captured. The problem is black can jump into the position. We mentioned that c3 square earlier, but then it will just be captured. White's dark squared bishop still lives. There's that tension on the d-file again. It just looks almost decisive. Mm-hmm. The more we look at it, the more, or at least the more I look at it, the more I think it's just very strong for Duda. And Mamedyarov, he seems to be thinking the same. He's burning 2.5 minutes now on his clock. He had a big time advantage. That's gone.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really suggest anything other than the knight springing forward and just accepting that you're probably going to be a pawn down.
Mm-hmm. And maybe we can see the stockfish moves. Earlier we saw white had two good moves. OK, black, actually the advantage is going to grow if he doesn't find the best move here. And that's to retreat the knight. This is far from obvious. Actually, like you said, Jovanka, it's giving up a pawn, essentially. And let's show this on the board. Black has to give up a pawn here by retreating his knight. Everything else, for example, trading the dark squared bishops. This is the second best move, but that would be great for white. Jumping in with the black knight is maybe the most natural, the third best move, but white just eliminates this piece. And, for example, now would push forward with a pawn in the centre, and due to this pin, the black bishop is lost in the centre. So I think he will rule that one out, but the best move, if we go back to it, is to drop back knight to g5, the computer says. Hitting this bishop, very logical, but the problem is after bishop takes bishop, I think we have to recapture with a pawn. Another trade, hitting the black queen. You want to take with the black queen, you don't take back with a pawn ever. You shatter your pawn structure in front of your king, too ugly. So you take with the queen, and now white just wins a pawn in the centre. Rook takes pawn. So a little bit of calculation. It's like capture, 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 but white wins a pawn at the end. Mm-hmm. And they will both have worked this one out already.
Wow, trouble for Mamedyarov. He is now down to 4 minutes.
Oh, and he's gone forward with his knight.
Yeah, this looks like a piece sacrifice, right?
Yeah.
Because the knight can just be captured and... Oh, sorry, my arrows. The knight can be captured this way. And it has been captured. And what's to stop Duda winning a piece now? Pushing forward in the centre. This bishop is pinned, it can't move.
Yeah.
I'm struggling to understand. Maybe there's some trick here to do with how strong this black pawn is, but...
No, I don't think so.
I don't see it. Duda plays this move. OK, he gives up his queen, Mamedyarov. Bishop takes knight. He's just giving up his queen. for the white rook, that queen has disappeared. And in this position, Duda, once he recaptures this bishop, I think he will immediately, he's simply a queen for a rook up. This one is winning, surely. Black's saving grace is that this pawn is really, really strong, supported by Black's bishop, but a queen for rook is too much.
It is too much.
He's done it before, though.
He's done it before. At least in the past, when Magnus has sacrificed queens, normally there's an immediate compensation, there's an immediate reason, but here he's half bluffing, I think. The black rook moves across, attacking the white queen. At least she's not great right now. She's not active.
And in fact, if she steps to the wrong square, she's going to get trapped.
You're right, Jovanka. If she gets to this square, she's trapped in 2 different ways.
Yep.
You can bring the black rook down, and no escape squares for her.
So that means you have to put the queen on the edge of the board. It's only 1 square.
So, yeah, one of these 2 squares. Whoops.
Yeah. I would not put her in the eye line of the dark square bishop, so I would step forward to the A2.
Yeah, this one looks a bit scary to allow the bishop to stare down at you. So, yeah, I agree, Jovanka. This one looks most sensible. But suddenly the black rooks are coming in. This is 1 attack on the white queen. She has to step forward, I guess. And maybe the other rook could jump in at some point. OK, he does go into the corner. Maybe he was too scared of the rooks on the double, on the second rank. And suddenly he's playing with fire, Duda. And, OK, we see the stockfish suggestions again. Still good for white. But he's fighting Mamedyarov. This is the type of advantage that could disappear if Black's pawn can somehow trick its way forward. I don't think it's safe yet. You don't want to push this pawn because this attack on the white queen can maybe just be blocked by White's pawn. Also, maybe, yeah, I mean, I guess you step for the pawn forward and next move, this guy drops off. So keep that pawn on the board. And the computer says in this position, you want to stop this idea of pushing forward by blocking it with your bishop. Just block this pawn, and the bishop actually controls a lot of squares. That's not obvious, I've got to say. It feels like a position you've sacrificed your queen, you've got to play fast, you've got to find something immediate, but the computer says, just play slowly. It's fine, you're a queen down. The game goes on. But, wow. The second best move, also a quiet one. I guess it's just to move the rook across and go for this this isolated pawn.
So both players are now just staring at this black pawn.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the center of their focus right now, for Mamedyarov to keep it on the board and for Duda to get it off the board.
Yeah, Duda would love to even sacrifice a rook in order to get rid of it later on. As long as he can get maybe, let's give both sides a couple of moves just to show an example, but if, say, he gets the opportunity, maybe not here, but rook takes pawn, this would be the dream, getting rid of the pawn and Black's bishop for the rook, and White would emerge with an extra bishop. So, OK, this was prevented, but this is not a recommended move by the computer. Black's rook came in. To me, it's the most natural, actually, bringing the black rook in, but what's the downside to this one? The black rook looks nice and active. Maybe there's just no threat. What can White do now? Computer goes to +4? Wow.
I don't understand this because to me it looks it can't be a bad move. You know, Black is threatening to push the C pawn 1 square forward, and goodness me, that's terrifying. And oh.
Wow, he pushes forward Duda, giving away a pawn for free, seemingly. The pawn is gobbled up. What's the idea?
Plan?
I guess he's freed up the bishop on this nice long diagonal, but I don't see the plan.
Is he going to also push his C pawn? Say, you got a pass pawn, I want one too.
Yeah, a battle of the C pawns. It's weird to have pawns this way round. Normally, Black's pawn would be blocking the white pawn. Neither pawn is blocking the other here.
Or maybe he just wants to free up his bishop defensively.
Yeah, I think he just wanted to free up this piece, like you said, Jovanka. Now he has access to this diagonal at least. But the computer did not like it. It didn't approve of giving up a pawn for free. Still a queen for rook advantage, but the white queen is pretty bad right now. I mean, I would be terrified, I've got to say, of the white king on the back rank. I would want to step forward a pawn at some point. I'm not sure whether I have time, but just want to give it some breathing space, an escape square. I'm not sure whether that's a good move. Like you said, Jovanka, maybe this one, pushing forward.
Shall we have a look at if you can take a breather? If you push the pawn?
You push the pawn?
I mean, is the black pawn also going to advance? I mean, because this position looks so dangerous despite the bar being all the way on White's side. I mean, this is just not how it works when chess is played out amongst humans.
Yeah. If it's computer versus computer, you're right. It's just a win for white, essentially. But human versus human, you get scared of this pawn stepping forward. You get scared of it promoting. Maybe you accidentally get your king trapped on the back rank. Actually, the more I look at it, the more I think Shaq is just... I mean, we knew this already. He's a genius. But he's found a really nice practical way to continue. It was either this or suffer, right? Suffer a pawn down position with no chance of winning. This one, he's either losing or he might turn it around and win.
I agree. This is the way to defend against those unpleasant positions. You've got to create mess. You've got to be that agent of chaos. And I like what he's doing. And when it comes to the clock times, well, Jan-Krzysztof Duda just under 3 minutes.
He spent nearly half his time on this one move, and understandably. That might be the worst queen I've ever seen, I've got to say. So white is a queen for rook up, and all queens are good pieces, but white's queen, what is it doing in the corner? Blocked in by black's rook.
That's true.
So that is the compensation. That's why it's tricky for white. If you could pick up the queen and put her on an active square, then probably just game over. But OK, he is activating that piece. And now, again, the question, Jovanka, can that black pawn push? Can it continue its march?
Now it's much more tempting, especially because the white king doesn't have a hidey hole to escape to.
The evaluation bar dropping every move now. This is how difficult it is to handle for white. And you said this pawn push is tempting. What else could black consider here? Maybe you could move the black bishop. I mean, this move is the first move you want to play, right? Push this pawn. And as you mentioned, if white does now make space, then suddenly the black rook comes forward. It's pinning. It's about to remove the defender, the blockader, this white rook. Maybe this is winning for black suddenly, because, for example, if you step your king forward, the black bishop comes in. Oh, it's still tricky. There's still some tactics here, but if you can remove this blockader, you make a new queen with your pawn. I mean, this is the ambitious way, right? The acid test of what white is doing. Critical idea, but does it work? If you can't make it work, if you're too nervous, maybe you bring your bishop forward and try to go for this pawn. I don't think black has time to make a space for his king himself. He would love to.
Yeah, I was going to ask that because...
Because black is vulnerable on the back rank as well. The black king is trapped behind its own pawns.
And you have to remember, yes, the queen is badly placed for the time being, but she can swoop in, especially to the e7 square, and just make a real nuisance of herself. So still, white has the defensive resources. Yeah,
I mean, still anyone's game. Who would you pick here, Jovanka, if you didn't see the evaluation bar?
Oh, that's such a tough question. I probably would choose the queen, but I would make sure I spent so much time on every move, you know, just checking and rechecking all my variations, because the margin of error here is so small. You make a mistake, you're going to pay with it with your life.
Yeah. I guess the reason we would choose the queen is that at least worst comes to worst. That black pawn runs through, you give up your rook for it, and you'll get a situation where it's queen versus two rooks. Roughly balanced, maybe slightly better for the two rooks. But that's like worst case scenario. If you're black, worst case scenario is your pawn drops off and you're just a queen down. So margin for error tiny, like you said, Jovanka, but maybe the margin is smaller for black. Mamadjarov under 1 minute. We said they were quick players. Is there only 27 moves? OK, he does take a timeout to create luft, create air for the black king.
This probably allows the white king to also do the same, you know, because if you feel then his nervousness there with no way to escape to.
Yeah, copy.
Yeah,
copycat chess.
Absolutely.
Push a pawn in front of the white king, just like black did there. I'm not sure who it benefits more, but it benefits both. Just not sure who it benefits more.
Yeah.
Wow, what a game. So many surprises. We barely predicted that middle bit where black gave up a piece, then gave up a queen.
But, you know, the action happened very early on, and, you know, it's still critical around move 27.
You're right, Jovanka. You said it yesterday. Between move 20 and 40, that's where the action happens between these two. I mean, you see some grandmasters where the action only happens like move 50, 60 in some endgame. You see some where it happens only between move 10 and 20. Here it's middle game.
Yeah.
Both of them so creative, and Duda tanking now on the clock.
Well, he doesn't have too much time on his clock either. He's ticking down to just over a minute. And the heat is on for both of these players. It's another roller coaster game.
Fantastic, what a start to the final day. Obviously, Mamedyarov, he is fighting for a comeback. It's not looking good for him right now. And if he loses this game, it's getting really dramatic. Then he will have to win 2 games and only 3 rapid games to go. I mean, I see the bar, so I understand it's most likely that Duda will win this game, but all scenarios still possible?
Definitely.
As long as that black pawn exists, as long as it lives. And like Jovanka said, just one slip and we'll see the bar swing the whole way to black side. And Duda was frustrated. OK, he does eventually copy black, creating some air for the white king. But that's the one risk is look at this, the evaluation bar now on black side.
Whoa! Yeah. And, well, this is the type of position where anything can happen.
Yeah.
I mean, such a natural move. I mean, really? Why does the bar not like it?
There must be something concrete for black. Maybe it's bringing in this second rook. Again, that's what we call the blind pigs. They'll just eat anything in their path. On that second rank, the white pawns are just doomed. They're going to drop off. But the question for Duda is, can he eliminate this pawn? We said this was the key. I don't think black should get greedy now and capture this white rook.
I think black can force a draw here by attacking the queen.
Attacking the white queen.
Yeah,
okay,
you keep...
Very clever, yeah, Jovanka. Let's show this on the board. It's getting really tense. Mamedyarov under 20 seconds. And you can attack the white queen. You don't want to take this rook first. If you take this rook, you lose your bishop, and black's bishop is the key. Here, a queen and bishop together will beat 2 rooks. Essentially, you're a piece up. A queen is the same as 2 rooks. White has a bishop for free, and he goes for your idea, Jovanka. He doesn't take this rook. He wants to kick away the protection of this rook first. So the rook bullies the queen. If it moves to this square, actually, then you can move across this way, and she's almost trapped. She has to go the whole way back, and then the rook drops next to her. Wow, things are turning in black's favour. Duda goes the other way. He steps 1 square forward, and black's bishop comes in. Is Mamedyarov going to checkmate Duda?
Whoa!
Yeah, it's looking that way, David.
Yeah, suddenly the white king has been abandoned. White's queen and rook are too far away, and the f2 point is always the weakest in white's camp. In any chess position, especially here, it's going to get captured. Black is going to be attacking with a bishop and with 2 rooks. Suddenly, how does white even do anything? White's queen can't even counterattack. There's 1 check, but look how safe black's king is. No more checks ever. Black's king is super safe. OK, he pushes a pawn forward, but suddenly something is about to drop on this square. Oh, it looks... OK, black is winning. Wow, you take it with the bishop. This is winning because if the king steps forward, the bishop drops back with a discover check, winning the queen at the same time. Let's go back to the players. Mamedyarov is going to take this game.
What a turnaround.
He just needs to give another check. Duda smiling. He was a queen up, and he's lost it. And we'll see this... OK, white's other rook has gone. And next move, wherever the king goes, black's rook is going to jump out the way with a check. Black's bishop will capture the white queen. Game over.
Oh, wow. We have a comeback, you guys. Mamedyarov, he does it without the queen, sacrificing the queen and winning the game to make that comeback. He is now in the lead on the second day in the final of Aimchess Rapid. Wow, what a game, David. You have to tell us all about the drama that happened here.
So many moments I want to break down in this one. So many twists and turns. It was like a roller coaster. But it was this position where Duda finally lost control. We mentioned for humans it was very difficult. The practical problems for white were incredible. This queen was never a good piece. But it was after this very clever move by Mamedyarov, mentioned by Jovanka as well, that Duda made the final slip. The rook attacked the white queen. The white queen stepped forward to the b4 square, but this was the final blunder. She's too far away from the protection of her king now. She needed to step back to this square. And if black had done the same as in the game, the black bishop going to attack this pawn, then maybe there's some chances. There won't be any checks, at least, along the first rank. So white's queen will protect her king on this rank. Still difficult, but again, at the very least, you can maybe just give up the queen for the rook and hope that you can draw this one. However, when the queen stepped forward to this square, the b4 square, look how vulnerable she was later in this variation. The bishop stepped forward, nothing to do, this pawn is dropping, and when Duda pushed his pawn, this check was deadly. The problem is the queen is on a dark square. If you step forward to the second rank, a discovered check will happen. The bishop will drop back with a check, hitting the white queen as well, winning her on the next turn. And in the game, same theme. The white king stepped across, a check. Again, the white king can't step forward to the second rank, but a block wasn't sufficient either. Black won a rook, and the killer blow, Mamedyarov finding it instantly. He moved his bishop, another discovered check, and wherever the king goes, for example, rook takes pawn, one final blow, and the queen. This is why it was such a bad square, but you had to see this nearly 10 moves in advance, and Mamedyarov did. What a win.
And what a start to the final day of Aimchess Rapid. In 13 minutes, game 2 will start. And in that one, Mamedyarov, who is now in the lead, will have the white pieces. We're going to take a commercial break. And when we get back, we're going to build up to the drama.
Second, the position completely turned. Oh, well, I don't see a move, but Freddy does see a move because bishop takes b3. Who is the gentleman or lady under that mask? Whew. What a game.
Hello everyone and welcome to this short introduction to the Roy Lopez. So the Roy Lopez is a chess opening that appears after the move e4, like replies e5, you play knight f3, like replies knight c6, and now bishop to b5. This is the Roy Lopez. We intend to castle next, and we are building some initiative in the center later on by playing the move c3 and hopefully d4. It's a very solid and reliable opening. It has been played by basically all the world champions throughout the history of chess. It has been around for hundreds of years, and it can definitely last you a lifetime once you learn it. So I really recommend you all to try out the Roy Lopez.
Air quality isn't the first thing that comes to mind when you think about chess and esports, but it affects our focus, decision-making, health, sleep, and more. What's in the air you breathe? Find out with AirThings.
Oh, he will go queen h5 check with a double attack. Attack the king and attack the pawn. And you thought, no, can't have that. I don't want the double attack. And so, with this very good insight, you chose the move g5, trying to block the queen's access.
We just race to the line. I'm definitely gonna crush it. Set, go!
how my chess game is going.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
Welcome back to Aimchess Rapid. In a few minutes, game 2 in the final will start between Mamedyarov and Duda. Mamedyarov won the first game today to make a comeback. The final ad you saw in this commercial break was for Meetup, a great new app that helps people connect, and Meetup has now joined forces together with the Champions Chess Tour, and we're joined by Greg from Meetup. Hi Greg, it's nice to see you.
Hi Kaja, great to see you. How are you?
I'm great, but you're better sitting outside. Beautiful weather in New York, I can see.
It's a beautiful fall day. It's been cold lately, but I had to get outside today. It's amazing outside.
So nice to see. And Greg, you have to explain, what is Meetup and what was the thought behind it?
Yeah, so this year Meetup just celebrated its 20th anniversary, actually. We've been on a long time. So about 20 years ago, our founder actually founded Meetup in the aftermath of 9/11. He was a native New Yorker, and he saw that after the tragedy, New Yorkers came together in a way that was different than ever before. In the subway or at the coffee shop or even at in the neighborhood and on the stoop, people had that sense of community. And our founder wanted to make sure that this wasn't short-lived and that this is something that can live on forever. So he built Meetup to make it easy for people to create communities around passions and interests that they have and meet strangers and make new friends and connections. And today, the mission has very much been fulfilled. We have over 60 million registered users on Meetup. We have over 250,000 active Meetup groups today that host 300,000 events every single month. And over 3 million people show up to those events every month. So it's really special. And, you know, we believe that people are at their best when you're in that kind of moment. You're a bit vulnerable. We've all been there. You go to a new place and you may not be with anyone, but you're there and you're making new connections and you're bonding over a shared passion with people and you're making new friends. And that's what that moment right there, that moment is what Meetup is all about.
Fantastic. And chess is obviously one of those passions that people definitely can connect and bond over. So how can people either join or even create communities?
Yeah, a Meetup makes it really easy. So we've got an amazing app. All you have to do is download the app. You can use the website as well. And all you need is an email address and you're off and running. You know, community is hard. Whether you're looking for new community or whether you're looking to create community, it can be difficult. But the way that Meetup makes it easy is really in the numbers. So if you're looking for a community to join, we've got 250,000 communities out there, and I'm sure there's a bunch that are great for what you're looking for. And if you're looking to create a community, it can be really hard to get people that are interested and find those people that want to show up. But they can tap into our network of 60 million people who are looking for great events and new people to meet. And that's what Meetup, that's what makes Meetup special and makes, you know, creating community easy.
Very cool. And as a part of the tour partnership, there will actually be some Magnus chess meetup groups in 300 cities across the world. So why did Meetup decide to do this large-scale partnership with the Champions Chess Tour?
I am so excited for this partnership for a lot of reasons. Personally, I played chess actually competitively in high school, and my high school won New York City 3 years in a row in high school. And I've always been a big follower of chess. I'm a follower personally of the Champions Chess Tour. Congratulations, Magnus, again for winning it. So personally, I always was really interested as soon as I met up with the Play Magnus team about this. But in terms of the partnership, Play Magnus is doing incredible things online. It's amazing to see what's happened to chess since COVID started, and the huge boom and interest in the esport of chess. And I was so fascinated by Play Magnus's interest to take that success and bring it to the in-person space, which is there's still a huge opportunity there. And they couldn't find a better partner than Meetup to help them, because Meetup is the leader in the in-person event space. And so we can help Play Magnus, fulfill that mission of having a chess club in every single city around the world. And I think it's just kind of a dream partnership for both companies.
Yeah, I agree. And you mentioned COVID. Have you seen changes in the behavior of how people use Meetup after COVID?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what we've noticed is that people who attend in-person meetups now are more appreciative and grateful for the opportunity to make new friends, because we've been stuck at home and we've been stuck not meeting people for so long. Making friends can be really difficult, and it got a lot harder. And there's a lot of loneliness out there at the moment, and Meetup is a great antidote to that. And whether it's going out there and playing chess with strangers to make new friends over that passion, or if you love to go hiking, or if you're looking to make new connections, you're trying to switch careers and network, there's probably something for you. And that's why we exist, to help people come together and bond over those shared passions.
Fantastic. Greg, thank you for joining us and telling us all about Meetup. What a cool opportunity for everyone to join chess Meetup groups.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
So do that, everyone. Figure out if there are chess Meetup groups in the city that you live, and join it for a chance to meet new people, to play some chess and have some fun. And in the next break, after the next game, we're going to talk about Bobby Fischer. He became world chess champion 50 years ago.
When he has won this match, has become the world champion, he basically walks off the stage. He disappears.
Ooh, and I had to run back here because that was short. 1 minute until game 2. Shakhriyar Mamedyarov is in the lead, and he will have the white pieces. You said it, Jovanka. He needs to feel inspired, and that must be exactly what he's doing after game 1.
Yeah, and what a brilliant resource. I mean, it was just a fantastic game by Shakhriyar Mamedyarov. I mean, it wasn't perfect. He made a big blunder, but the way that he turned it around and used it as a strength instead of a weakness was just unbelievable. It was just such a difficult position for Duda to play, and he needs more of that. We need to see more of that creative genius spark.
And now he has the white pieces. Here we go, David.
Yeah, here we go. We're off in game 2 of today. And Mamedyarov starting with the queen's pawn. What is he going to try? He needs to keep the momentum. I think the last thing Mamedyarov should do is play it safe in this game. Just keep going for Duda while he's a bit off balance, especially before he recovers, Duda, from that last defeat. That would have been a crushing feeling, just losing when you're a queen up for just a rook. But yeah, Mamedyarov, just like you said, Jovanka, at some point everyone blunders in chess. It's just about how you spin it after that, how you recover, how you react. And Mamedyarov set his opponent some practical problems. He's got to do the same in this Ragozin defense. It's a branch of the Queen's Gambit declined. This bishop coming out means it's the Ragozin, one of the favorites of Levon Aronian. Magnus Carlsen has played this plenty of times. All the top guys have this in their repertoire. White's bishop coming out to pin the black knight.
Yep, and I think that you have some choices here. You can either capture the pawn or you can attack the bishop. And of course, there are other moves in the position.
Yeah, plenty of options here for black. And what will Duda choose? I'm guessing he's going to attack this bishop with the black pawn. I think I've seen Duda play that before. But yeah, it's still a very theoretical position. Still, it's just choosing your poison, as they say. Okay, he does take the pawn. And he used to do this all the time. So it's transposing to what we call the Vienna Gambit. So white's actually down a pawn. Black has essentially seized the Queen's Gambit. He said, yep, you gambited a pawn, I'm going to take it, I'm going to defend it. But what black's doing now with his pawns on this left side, it's a bit It's a bit convoluted. In a way, it feels very shaky. Black is taking risks, and if things do collapse, if Black loses his extra pawn, then White just has a nice pawn centre.
Yeah, and well, White has various ways to handle this position, and the most popular move by far is the one that Mamedyarov has played, and Duda immediately challenging in the centre. So far, all standard stuff, all been played before, but I think both sides will be happy because the position now will be quite sharp.
Yeah, and that's very English of you, Jovanka. Quite
sharp. I know.
It means it's going to be explosive. It means fire on the board.
It's such a bad habit of mine to kind of do this British thing, or just a little bit, so just a little bit drama there.
Itsy bitsy.
I know.
Slightly.
And I'm like, I've got to tone it down because people, you know, unless you're British and you know that I'm kind of like tongue in cheek, then yeah. Can be misunderstood.
No, don't stop doing it. I would actually say British people must be the most charming people. Do you think that's a common? British people, very charming with the politeness.
We're just acting, Kaja. We're not actually that charming. We're all horrible people deep down.
No.
That's a stereotype that we're like Hugh Grant, like oops-a-daisy.
Yeah, exactly. Hugh Grant.
And I remember when my parents moved over to England, the thing that made my mum laugh is this o'clock. 11 o'clock.
Oh, yeah. That's true. 11 is what everyone
else say that in the rest of the world?
No, they would say 11. Let's meet at
11 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
It's just us saying o'clock.
1100 hours.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, us Brits. But meanwhile, this position is slightly sharp. It is exploding in the centre. If you look at the pawn structure already, it's just a mess. Black has two in the centre. One of them's about to be captured. I'm not 100% familiar with the theory in this position. I vaguely remember looking at it a while ago and then just deciding I'm not going to try this as Black because I couldn't figure out what was going on. But let's jump in. Right now, it is Black, I think, with an extra pawn, but this guy is going to be captured. I'm assuming you can capture it, first of all, with a knight if you want to, or you can maybe, if I remember correctly, take this knight off the board first.
Those are the two options. It's much more popular to capture the pawn with a knight, though.
Yeah. So the idea is this knight is pinned. You can't move it. It's pinned on this diagonal, so you have to remove one of the attackers of that piece. So the most popular move is knight takes pawn. And White's bishop is actually going to spring out and capture this guy on the next couple of turns. So White will likely go a pawn up, but Black is very active. Black is actually the first one to castle. Often in these positions, Black has a nice pin on this diagonal. The reason, I guess, Mamedyarov is pausing now is he's just trying to... I mean, it's a matter of taste in this position. He's just trying to choose what to play. I do remember that this was a move, bishop takes knight, as you mentioned, Jovanka. It's maybe the second main move. And after the Black queen recaptures, now the difference is the White queen can take this pawn. And the game would maybe be a bit calmer if the queens do disappear, if the queens are traded off. You can't do that in the current position. Just to clarify, you can't trade off the queens yet, because after a queen exchange, the fact that this knight still lives on the board means that knight takes pawn is possible, again, profiting from this pin, and now Black is actually winning, because there's an attack against this knight, there's an attack against this bishop, and Black is also a pawn up. So those are the two options. Chaos, as we said, and it's likely to stay that way for some time, even after those moves we suggested. But we're expecting, OK, one of those two moves, Shak does indeed capture the knight. This hints to me that he wants to play it slightly safer, because, as we showed, the queens are likely to get traded. And after queen takes bishop, I'm expecting Shak now. The difference is that you can take with the queen. And, yeah, heading towards an endgame. Still a crazy endgame, still very imbalanced. So not a draw offer, not anything too calm or too boring.
But should he try to let Duda keep his queen?
Yeah.
Seems he always wins the game. And he is the only one missing the queen.
True. Give up the white queen. You don't need it. That's true, actually. Normally, I associate Shak's attacks with, you know, queens coming to checkmate the enemy king, and he did checkmate there in the last game. But without a queen, it's just incredible. Yeah. It's almost once in a lifetime for most players, but for Shak, it's like 3 times a tournament. Yeah. Sacrificing a queen. He literally sacked his queen to win against Giri, against Rapport, and now against Duda.
Incredible. Yeah. Wow.
I know. Seems to be something that he should do more often. Mm-hmm. And whilst Duda is considering which way to capture that bishop, it's much more common for the queen to go and capture the bishop, as David has indicated? Well, I'll share with you another meme. This time it comes from Murali Haram, who says, this one is very standard. They've been there, I've been there. You sleep, brain goes, but what if you had moved the knight? And you're like, shut up, I'm trying to sleep. And then... let me check on my phone. It happens to me all the time.
He does it.
No, it's like it doesn't let go. You think that you've gotten, especially happens after a loss. And yeah, it's the stuff of nightmares because it won't go away. And there we actually see Duda. He wants to gamble. He wants to take risks.
Oh.
He's actually captured the piece with his pawn. It has been played before, I have to say, but not the most popular response.
Yeah, I guess simply because Black has a set of double pawns now on the f-file, and if Black's king were ever to castle on that side of the board, it would be vulnerable. So Duda taking risks. He does have slightly more central control because that pawn covers some key central squares. But yeah, not the usual method.
Will he castle now in this game?
If the queens come off the board, Black's king will be safe, whether it castles, whether it stays in the centre. But now Mamajarov's like, OK, you've ruined your pawn structure, time to keep the queens on. So now if the Black king does castle over to this right side, then the White queen can go and attack it. So Mamajarov, that's how the top players, they're so good. They're very flexible. It's like Mamajarov, he was ready to trade off the queens. He wanted to, but Duda does something a bit weird, and he's like, actually, no. I'm going to keep the queens on because I think Black's king is going to be more vulnerable than White's.
Yeah, that must be some of the hardest things in chess, when you have this great plan.
Yeah, just...
To change it.
Yeah. It's not following dogmatic thinking all the time. It's being flexible, essentially thinking on the fly. And that's why the top players, they calculate so much, because sometimes you calculate your plan doesn't actually work. So you have to go and kind of switch the move order or be a bit creative. And temporarily, White's a pawn up. His bishop's just gone to capture a pawn. And Duda, what's he going to do with the Black king? Black can regain a pawn, actually. Black's light-squared bishop can go and capture White's pawn in the middle of the board. That pawn is not defended because White's knight is pinned by the other bishop. But loses a lot of time. White is ready to castle, perhaps. Really sharp. I have a feeling that this is going to be decisive as well, this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do feel that Black's position is very precarious, and he steps forward with the queen to attack the bishop. The Black king is just not safe, and oh my God.
Look at the bar.
What is happening? I mean, why is it going up so much? I mean, I think it's just because of Black's precarious king situation.
Yeah.
I think I don't think you should retreat that bishop, for instance. Defend it.
Yep, I agree. 100% Jovanka. And there's some easy, natural moves to defend it. It's attacked, this piece. It's loose. If you step it back, the problem is now Black can gang and cash in on this knight. He's ganging up on this piece, so after a couple of trades, this check is really awkward to deal with. You don't want to investigate that variation, so White's queen, I guess, can just come and defend it. The most natural move to me.
Absolutely.
Defending the piece, but also asking an awkward question of the Black bishop. And Black's bishop, for example, it can trade off for the White knight, fine. White can take this back in two different ways, but yes, Black can again gain the pawn back, so now it would be level material, but already White is lining up some sacrifices on this square. I'd be really tempted here for White to start calculating, for example, bishop takes pawn, and the White queen jumping in. It gets super sharp here. I'm not 100% sure of the evaluation, but this is the type of thing that's going on in their mind. And Shaq, if this works for him, which the computer seems to think it does, then he's got a great position.
Yeah.
You can also play it safe. You don't have to use the square. You can, for example, move your queen to this square, also defending your bishop.
Yeah.
Choice.
Don't play it safe.
You don't want to play it safe.
It's a sharp position. It's open. Play the most active move if you can. So this one I like because it also gains time, as David indicated, attacking the bishop and setting up all those potential sacrifices that White will always have. I really think that Duda and his only move, what move is it? It's 12. Is already in survival mode.
Yeah.
It feels like he's on tilt, Duda. Body language is negative. He's been shaking his head a bit this game. He's freestyling in an opening. You need to know all the details. As I mentioned, I looked at this opening a few months ago for Black, and I decided, it's too many minefields, too much room for error. From a human point of view, none of the moves are natural. You can't just freestyle, especially in a rapid game. Maybe in a long game, you can calculate your way out of trouble, but look at the evaluation bar shooting up.
And are we still in the opening?
Yeah.
Yeah, because neither king has castled. And it's only move 13, and wow, this is like a red rag to the bull. He's just asking Mamedyarov to sacrifice. So he's attacking with this last retreat. He's attacking White's knight in the center of the board. But first of all, that knight can be defended with White's rook in the corner. White's rook on the left can just slide over behind this knight in the middle and defend it. Secondly, you could jump forward and give up this white knight for a couple of pawns. Slightly tempting. Highly tempting, actually. And what do you think, Jovanka? Is Mamedyarov just going to play safe with this knight? Is there anything immediately that you see?
No, I don't see anything immediate. But you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking that he might defend it with his rook, but via the means of castling or something. But maybe that's just too much.
Yeah, I mean, it's on the radar, right?
Yeah.
So this knight is attacked. The reason I'm slightly tempted to calculate this move, knight takes pawn, is because once the bishop recaptures, you have 3 pawns for a piece, so it's actually level material. But also, this bishop covers any square that the black king will ever castle to. So black's king is trapped in the center for the rest of the game. That being said, no direct threats for white, so it's understandable to want to avoid this. This one would need a lot of good judgment. And like you said, the safer move is... Which one is he playing?
No, he's gone for it, of course, it's Shaq.
It's Sakryar Mamedyarov sacrificing.
Very nice.
Yeah, the safe one I was about to say is to bring the rook across. But nope, no safety here. And this king now is going to be a target for the rest of the game. Stuck, stranded in the center.
Wow.
White's king, it looks like it's stuck in the center as well, but it still can castle on both sides of the board. Watch out for Shaq castling queenside, maybe with devastating effect later on when Duda least suspects it. Computer doesn't approve, but it's one of those positions. It could swing in either side's favor if anyone makes a mistake now. High stakes chess.
This is the chess we were hoping for.
Yeah. Yesterday we were so close so many times, but Duda was always able to shut down Mamedyarov.
Yeah.
Not today.
But Duda had his own brand of very dynamic chess, actually, that completely baffled Mamedyarov. And here we see almost that the 2 last games that they played have been in Mamedyarov's territory. The position has been very open. The kings have been unsafe. And this is where Mamedyarov just excels. I mean, he's so good at calculation. He's so good with activity. And as David mentioned, you know, he's great at attacking with pieces. So Duda's king is in hot water right now. And whilst he's thinking about how to repair, OK, he develops his knight. This is very natural. I wanted to share with you one meme from Gaurav Mukherjee. OK, we see white castle the king, get it to safety. Black king is still so unsafe. The rooks are going to come in. And it's very relatable, he says. And I'm going to, hopefully it'll come up. And he says here, I love this one. My coach, impressed I didn't take a seemingly hanging pawn because it drops a piece after a 5-move sequence. Yay! Me, not seeing the hanging pawn. Oh. And is this from The Office? Is Steve...
Carell?
Carell, yeah. Yeah, I like that, especially with the bum bag as well. And the hairstyle.
That's happened to all of us at some point as well. Blundering our way through life.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent memes, you guys. Keep them coming. And remember, use the hashtag ChessChamps for a chance to win a mug of David Howell.
My face. I don't know why anyone would want that, but you have the opportunity.
It's a very nice mug.
It is.
Look at that.
It's very cool.
It's very cool.
I've drunk out of that exact cup. Anyway, moving on. Back to the game. Yeah, I'm just wondering now, Duda in thought for over a minute. What do you think, Jovanka? Is he going to get brave, Duda, and castle queenside? I'm saying this really reluctantly because it looks so ugly, but I don't see what else to do. Duda's king, you need to sort it out before the white rooks centralize and start going for that black king, before white's knight starts jumping forward.
It makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, the other option is to
resign. Sorry. I'm not Simon Williams. That's not my catchphrase.
Yeah. The other option is to live with the king in the centre, and we can't go for that.
It feels
no
feels
man's
like
land
with
there.
fire.
Yeah, I mean,
Dicing with death if you keep your king in the middle.
Exactly. So I agree with you. I mean, my vibe was just a castle to the left.
Because I was just trying to scout out the position to see where the king wants to be ideally. And if it does castle queenside, it's not safe here, obviously, because of this diagonal, and it's also on an open file. However, this king, which looks really, really weak on this side of the board, if you just give it one more move, for example, if white just takes a timeout, very natural rook move, the king will slide across, and suddenly it's much safer, right? Suddenly, actually, this white pawn is blocking any attacks towards it. It's defended by its bishop. Relatively safe. I'm still scared as black to have my king on this side of the board. It looks far more open than white's king, which is nicely protected by pawns. But to me, it looks like he has to try this at some point. If you don't go for this, how are you ever getting your rook in the game, really? At first, I thought, oh, maybe the black knight will jump. But again, white, for example, has options such as leaping forward with the white knight. This looks very strong. White to rook can also slide across. There's going to be tactics.
Left, right, and centre. Yeah,
literally
absolutely.
left, right, and centre in this position. Literally on this side of the board, on right side of the board, and in the centre with the king. And he hasn't castled. OK, he brought his rook into the game, but he's leaving a sitting duck in the centre of the board. Clear target. Oof. What do you think of this one?
I don't like it. I mean, I agree with you. I was also afraid of the knight jumping in and opening lines. I was terrified of the black king being in the middle.
Yeah, the black king is destined to be in the middle now for the rest of the game. It will never castle on the other side of the board because white covers that square too many times. And I mean, this move's definitely on the radar, jumping forward. If you want to kind of wait and kind of save them whatnot, keep it up your sleeve for later, then maybe this move. Again, I just see some tactics along this file. It's actually hard for the black queen to find a safe square. Maybe she has to go to the centre of the board now. Maybe that's the only safe square for the black queen. Again, rook opposite queen ends in disaster, as we nearly saw in the last game.
Yeah. And
so many tempting options.
Definitely. And I was kind of... You might approve, but you might also frown and say to me, hey, chess is timing, you're not being energetic enough. But I was also thinking of the king sliding over to the h1 square and play it in a positional way.
I approve, Jovanka. I will never, ever criticise a nice, kind of safe, strategic move. Even if the timing's wrong, I like the idea. No, I mean, this one makes sense as well, because it's not just getting the king off this diagonal, right?
Yeah.
Or off this open file. It's also, you might want to push your pawns forward.
I do want to push the pawn forward, not necessarily to explode open the position, but actually to control the squares, and especially the e5 square in the middle.
Yeah. Because actually, this might be the only safe square for the black knight, but also for the black queen. For example, in that variation we showed, the black queen wanted to leap into the centre. Now there's no more pin on this diagonal. You push forward, kick her away.
Okay.
And, OK, he does jump in. As we mentioned, this is very tempting as well. So attacking the black queen now, I don't think you can tolerate this knight in the centre of the board much longer. Evaluation bar still says it's good for white. Maybe not the best move, but very human. And we've learnt that Shaq has his own evaluation style in his head. Queens and rooks are basically worth the same. So in the reign of Mamedyarov, the queen now attacked. So I think I would just capture this knight without hesitation. I would probably just live to regret it immediately, but I would take this piece off the board. What is Shaq's idea here? It looks tempting to take with the queen. There's a threat now of coming across and checking the black king, but maybe the black knight could have moved out the way and blocked that idea. OK, he doesn't go for this, and Jovanka, you're excited.
I'm very excited because the move I suggested has been played.
Wow.
You know, the knight came in. I agree with you. You should have taken that knight off. It's too dangerous. Can't let her live. And, you know, the queen came to the e5 square, and the king moved over to h1. Small moves and big consequences because, of course, f2, f4 is coming.
Yeah, this move was not earlier possible. Now it's a big, big threat. And we should mention this bishop, it is en prise, it is loose, but don't take it. It's poisoned. If you take the bishop, then you walk into a knight fork. You would lose your queen. So still, I mean, it's really tense in the middle of the board. It's really packed in the centre there with all these four pieces. But, again, it's about the black king, and slowly pieces are gravitating towards it. Yeah, I mean, this looks absolutely terrifying for black. This pawn push is going to just... I mean, it's going to blast everything out of the way. And white's rook could open up on this f-file as well. The other rook can swing across any time. Black is essentially playing without this piece as well. It's stuck in the corner if you can't castle. You're essentially playing a rook down. You have an extra bishop for 3 white pawns, so level material, but you're playing a rook down in the corner. Duda, he doesn't look happy at all.
No. Yeah.
He moves his king.
With good reason. And at least now, black is threatening to capture the bishop, and Mamedyarov instantly, you know, applies the pressure. And look at that. The queen moves over to the right and is actually threatening to lift herself up all the way to the h6 square to deliver what is virtually checkmate.
And the bar is now saying Shak is winning.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you can see it on Duda's face. He was shaking his head. Shak is just so inspired today. He woke up on the right side of bed, we've got to say, and what a move. He plays it instantly. As you mentioned, Jovanka, this bishop is now attacked because no more checks. But just the general full board awareness to swing your queen the whole way across instantly, to switch angles, defending the bishop, also helping an attack against this... Whoops, my arrows? He's helping an attack against this knight. And the more deadly threat of all of them is, as you mentioned, Jovanka, this check. How do you defend? Maybe you just don't. Maybe it is time to resign.
It's disgusting, isn't it?
It's
I mean, it's such a horrible position, yeah. And the black king unsafe. None of black's pieces can assist this poor creature.
Yeah.
And it's so rare, I think, that we see a player make a move and the bar just grows after their move. Usually it just goes down and it goes up for the other player's move.
Yeah.
Is this a genius move that Mamedyarov has made, moving his queen?
Yeah, I think it's not just one genius move as well, it's a genius concept. So it's Shakhriyar, as we saw in the last game, he sacrificed his queen for a rook. And from a human point of view, it looks like, OK, material down, you're losing. But he sees long-term, there's actually compensation, there's practical problems for your opponent for the next 10 moves. And this queen move was set up by his last few. But it's not obvious for humans, first of all, because it's part of a bigger plan. But it's also not obvious for humans. Sorry, not obvious for computers, because normally computers, they want to look at the forcing moves first, but he's just slowly setting up the threats. He's slowly building up all the pieces. And +5 now. It's growing even more, Kaja, like you say. And that's because the computer is now realizing there's just no defense. Duda realized very quickly there was no way back. He was shaking his head. He realized he's about to get checkmated or he's about to lose that black knight. Then he'll just be 3 pawns down for nothing.
Wow.
But computers, maybe they were trying to find ways to defend. They're not working. So Shak has that instinct, but he also has the imagination to come up with these crazy plans.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's difficult to even suggest a surviving move for Duda, and I was looking at him in the camera, he knows it. So I think this is just a random move just to perhaps kind of distract Mamedyarov, but nope, nothing's going to happen here. He's in full control.
Yeah, I mean, you could just take this pawn with the white bishop, for example.
I agree.
Yeah, there's one defensive idea that if the white queen slides up with that check that we mentioned now, that we mentioned on the last turn, that black's queen actually can jump back to defend her king. So retreat squares have been created for the black queen. I think Duda had to try this. There was just nothing else. But yeah, just take that pawn. And actually, white's attacking material up. White will have 4 pawns for black's bishop. And yeah, Duda, he's been hit by just a storm today in the 2 games, both games. How is Duda going to recover from this?
Shaking his head. Do you think already we're only in move 19? We're going to see him resign quite soon?
It's possible.
No, I don't think he's going to resign just yet. I mean, because it's a badge. I don't know, it's not a badge of honor, but you do not want to lose in under 20 moves. No. Then that falls under the category of miniature. And you might find yourself in the wrong end of a miniature book.
Ooh.
And you're just like, no, that doesn't happen. And so you'd like to kind of drag the game on, you know, say 25 moves. That's okay, won't get in there. And but this is just a masterpiece from Shakhriyar. So instrumental how he uses all his pieces. And as David says, we're just expecting bishop takes pawn. Simple is best.
Yeah, you're right, Jovanka. You'll end up in every newspaper, every chess column around the world if you lose in less than 20 moves, because newspapers, they have a certain amount of space and they need quick, short games, pretty attacks.
You're going to put it on your column?
I'll put it in my newspaper this game if Shaq can finish it off. Meanwhile, he surprises us. He surprises Duda. Not maybe with the most obvious move, but I think equally strong.
It is very strong.
Look at the white queen. She's attacking that black rook in the middle of the board and it's undefended. How do you hold on to it? The black rook is tied down defending its knight. You can't defend that piece.
No, you can't. It definitely can't. And that's such a classy move. Once again, you know, Shakhriyar not playing the most obvious. Instead, he's all about applying pressure on Duda. And Duda shaking his head. He knows he's in big, big trouble.
Yeah. And, OK, he just gives up the black rook. At least he gets rid of one attacking piece for white. The rook does drop. Black's king is going to move. Again, no safe squares, though. You can block with the black queen, maybe. But everything's falling. It's like your opponent's in your house just grabbing everything now. They're grabbing all your possessions, grabbing all your pieces.
And
everything's falling down.
And still, the black king is so unsafe. I mean, if the king had some shelter it could hide behind, black's position would be tenable. But as it stands, what's happening?
He's still thinking, Duda. OK, he moves his king. I was saying maybe just block with the black queen. Try and get the queens off the board at least, because you're facing a huge attack. Normally, that's good advice. If you're getting attacked, try and trade the queens. But he's beating himself up, Duda.
Yeah.
He's OK, now he's smiling. He's realising he's on tilt. He's trying to get out of it. But it's not easy as a chess player. When you're stuck in your own head and you're being hit by a tornado like this.
Yeah.
Not easy.
It's fascinating to watch him, all the emotions he's going through. Do you think he knows he's losing this game? He's just holding it off?
He's not even looking at the board.
And another fantastic move from Shaq. I thought that, yay, he's going to move the queen. Shaq is like, no, I'm going to give up my queen.
Whoa.
But in return, of course, he's threatening to capture the queen. I mean, such a classy move.
It's like the Incredible Hulk. The catchphrase is smash, Hulk smash. Shaq, attack. That's his phrase. And every move is just an attack. He's creating threats on every turn. I mean, this is so classy. Yeah, the white queen just simply cannot be captured right now. I have a feeling Duda's going to resign, but what else can you do? You just have to applaud the opponent. That's why Duda's smiling, because he knows he hasn't actually played that badly, Duda. It's just Shaq's on fire. And sometimes you have to applaud. You have to take your hats off to the opponent. Shaq knows he's winning as well. He looks so calm, looking away, drinking some tea or water. And let's just show this final tactic in this position. Most humans, their queen is attacked, you drop back the queen, you give a check, but not Shaq. He wants to counter. He drops his knight back, and he's hitting the black queen, key defender. If black's rook takes the white queen now, not only do you win the black queen, but you end up with a fork, and you win a rook for free. And the reason this is so strong as well is the black queen has nowhere good to go. She's tied down defending her knight. For example, if she drops back to this square defending her knight, then this check is going to be deadly from the front. And when the king drops back, everything wins here. But for example, you can just take a pawn, jump in with the knight next move, and checkmate is coming. And we'll see this.
And he just looks away after making the move, Duda. He seems finished with this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, his position is in tatters. There's nothing he can do to salvage this. And you see it there.
So much emotions for Jan-Krzysztof Duda right now.
Yeah. What a game again. It's so hard to pick out highlights. How are we going to sum up this game? It's like bang, bang, bang. Every move so surprising, so direct, so creative.
Just brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, Shaq has come today like a man inspired. Yeah. There are not enough superlatives right now to describe Shaq's play. He's in his element.
Yeah, I wish I was capable of playing chess like this. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's kind of easy in chess to think about strategy. You learn principles, you hear these phrases all the time, but how do you teach this? It's just a mindset. It's just being brave on every move, going for the opponent's throat, never ever backing down. It's not even just the chess itself, which is beautiful. It's, that mentality.
I have to say, it's very beginner-friendly as well. Even I can sort of see the power in his attacking moves and the joy in the sacrifices and the craziness.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I always recommend to players starting out the game, work on those tactics. Shaq, clearly, when he was younger, was going through tactic books. He was working on calculation. And young players, they should learn to attack. That's the hardest thing to teach, actually, in chess. You can teach endgames, teach the defense, teach openings later in life. But attacking, that's something you need to hone when you're young, when you don't have that fear in you. And he's had that since a young age.
Yeah.
Shaq.
And Shaq has a very special story, actually, because when he grew up in a very small apartment, and there wasn't that much room in this apartment for him to go and study. And there we see pawn takes pawn on the board. And so every day he would get up at 5 in the morning, and before going to school, he would go to the park and just study and read books.
Wow.
And there we see the rook attack the queen, and the queen give a check. And once again, the black king, it's caught in the crossfire. There's some rooks that are going to come down and give checks.
Yeah, there's a lot of open lines in the middle of the board towards that black king. And white is playing without his rooks, as you mentioned, Jovanka. And the ingredients for any successful attack, use every piece. White's rooks. I mean, he's basically won the game without his rook so far. But to put the icing on the cake, you need to use those pieces. I'm not sure which rook you use first. It looks a bit scary that the black light-squared bishop is on the same diagonal as the white king. That's the one kind of hope for Duda, but everything's protected. White's knight actually protects his king. And the rooks, I mean, you can bring them in either order. I think you want to put them on the two central files, the E and D files, and black's defenses will collapse.
Yeah.
+9, the computer says.
Yeah, it's definitely move a rook, trap the king. The one thing that I would say is that don't check the black king into safety. I mean, what you want to do, the black king is in the middle of the board, keep it there. Keep it caged. I mean, we saw a game, I think in the game between Duda and Carlsen, where Carlsen's king was in the middle of the board, but it got checked into safety. And then, of course, the job became a lot more difficult. But it's very, very natural to give checks.
Yeah.
But be aware.
It's very tempting. And that's the first thing we're taught to calculate, after all. So the most natural move here would be one of the rooks to give a check. He does start this way, but black's king needs 3, maybe even 4 moves to run into the left corner where it might be safe. So you still have a couple of moves to catch it in the middle and not let it run any further. And I'm expecting the other white rook to come into the game. Okay, first he pushes a pawn. Defensive chess.
Cool customer.
Yeah, not what we're used to from Shaq. But the logic behind that one is that black's light-squared bishop was on the same diagonal as white's king, but now white's king is super safe. So now you can go back to that one-track mind of attacking. You've shored up your own defenses, and now just bring that last piece into the game. Actually, until this last pawn was captured, I was doing a count. White had a rook and 4 pawns for 2 pieces. So if you do some maths, a rook and 4 pawns, that was worth 9, same as a queen. Black had 2 pieces worth 6. So white was actually up on material, despite all of Shaq's sacrifices earlier. Wow. And Duda's still shaking his head. Black doesn't have any threats. You can just improve white's pieces.
Yeah. It's also tempting to give checks with the knight, because unfortunately the king is 2 squares away from going into safety. And yeah, it's going to be in trouble on the C line.
Yeah, that's true. In order to get to safety, it has to cross onto dangerous files first. And Duda looks heartbroken.
Yeah. I mean, but you have to feel for Duda. And there you go. The rook comes and cages the king. King is going to be kept in the middle of the board. And now white has a deadly threat of coming forward with a knight to give a check on E6.
Yeah. The knight check is going to be the killer. I just want to say as well, this is like a pincer movement. It's like one rook cuts the king from running to the right, the other rook is going to cut the king from running to the left, and therefore it's stuck in the middle, and it won't have any escape squares. For example, if it continues its journey to try and hide in the corner, then it steps onto an open file, and now, at the very least, white can just step the pawn forward and win this bishop that's pinned. It can't move. And this pincer movement with the 2 rooks is So classy and deadly as well. Yeah, nothing to do against this check. The king is caught. Game over. I think we'll see Duda resign in the next 2 or 3 moves.
Wow. Yeah,
He tried to defend, but not quite enough.
He looks like he is ready to resign, Jan-Krzysztof Duda, and I can't believe the drama on this final day of Aimchess Rapid. Shakhriyar Mamdjarov is about to go 2 points up, and in game 3, Duda will have to win that game to have a chance to decide this. In the Rapid portion, if it is a draw or a win for Mamdjarov, we will head straight to Blitz tiebreaks to decide the winner of the Aimchess Rapid.
Wow, yeah, who would have predicted that?
Yeah.
I was saying it's going to be a really tough day for Mamdjarov. He'd have to slowly work his way into it. Nope, he started with a bang.
Yeah.
And he means to go on that way. Okay, the only kind of thing you could trip over here is the clock. 1 minute for Mamdjarov. He does look slightly nervous. They do say winning a 1 game, that's the hardest thing in chess. He's done all the hard work. Can he put on the finishing touches? That black king just looks completely naked and just devoid of any shelter in the middle of the board. White's queen could drop back, give a check. I mean, there must be plenty of ways here.
Yeah, you kind of feel that the white queen is the one person that's missing from the white attack. Everyone else is doing their job, so get her in.
Yeah, so you could drop her back, for example, 2 squares and give a check there, but okay, Shak pushes a pawn. What's the idea behind this one? Surprising.
It did occur to me, but pawn takes pawn. Aha! Oh, he's so good. And we have to show the idea, David.
Show it. So it looks like this pawn was doing nothing. He's thrown it forward. And, OK, if the bishop takes, then now the king is properly cut off. No escape along these files. The white queen is now able to come into the centre of the board. And look at this, the white queen, the white rooks. They are going to trap this king. This is going to end in checkmate. But you mentioned a plan here, Jovanka. Pawn takes pawn.
Yeah, and now you want to destabilise the bishop because it's defending a key defender. And push the b-pawn forward and ask the question. Has to move. And once it goes... well, the queen can deliver a devastating check.
Yeah, and for example, bishop takes pawn, and now we see why Mamdjarov lured this pawn onto the b6 square, because now it's easy food for the white queen. Queen takes, and yeah, this is, I mean, he's seeing 3 moves, 4 moves, tactics, even with 1 minute on his clock. And OK, you called it there, Jovanka. This is on the board. And, OK, Duda's going for the white king now. He's brought his rook down to sacrifice. He's trying to open up white's king. It's not going to work. It's going to be too late. The white knight can simply jump back and defend. But there is some threat here. There's a threat of checkmate along this diagonal if the knight is captured.
But it's not going to work because the queen retreats, gives a check.
Yeah, and defends her knight. And next move, white can simply gobble up the bishop. It's going to be game over. White's going to be ahead 2 rooks. And there we go. Duda does resign.
Oh, wow. He goes up by 2 points, Shakhriyar Mamdjarov. Look at him. Stone face. No reaction from the man of today. He has now won 2 games in a row. And with only a draw in game 3 in 15 minutes, he will take this to Blitz tiebreaks. What a game again. Some monstrous moves by Shakhriyar Mamdjarov. Here is today's Lisaveta learning point.
Today's learning point is about making life difficult for your opponent, always choosing the option that they'll be most scared of. And here, Mamdjarov with the white pieces. He's up a pawn. He could have simply defended his attacked knight in the center. A very sensible move, for example, would have been to bring the rook across, keep this piece in the middle of the board. But then black gets a bit of time for development. Instead, Shakhriyar thought, no, what is my opponent scared of? What can I do to make them feel uncomfortable? And he sacrificed a piece in typical style. He gave up a knight for a pawn on this e6 square, and after a recapture, suddenly white's bishop controls both sides of the board. No chance this black king is ever going to escape from the center. A few moves later, after the black knight jumped out, white castled his king to safety, and it was here that Shakhriyar managed to start bringing more pieces into the attack. He brought his knight forward, and a couple of moves later, the killer here was to swing this queen onto a better angle. And once the queen joined the attack, defending the bishop along this diagonal, but also aiming to come up with this check, Duda's defenses collapsed. Always go on the attack, put your opponent on the back foot, test them, give them practical problems, and that will bring you some great results.
Dynamite by Mamedyarov with a draw in game 3. He's going to take it straight to blitz tiebreaks. It's drama here on the final day of Aimchess Rapid. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to go back in history and get to know Bobby Fischer, who became world champion 50 years ago. And of course, we're going to build up to game 3. We'll be straight back.
Welcome to the new Chess24 playing experience. Play in light mode or dark mode. Choose from a range of time controls or create a custom game and get paired with players from around the world fast. Enjoy a polished playing experience while making moves on a fresh, responsive board to claim your victories. Train and improve with over 80,000 puzzles. And that's not all. Download now and discover what more you can enjoy in our brand new app.
When I saw her for the first time, it was love at first sight. I love how rich and complex she is, how sharp and principled her first steps, how graceful her movement. Paris is a city of love. Come to find my love for the French defense.
Hi, I'm John Chess, inventor of chess, and also your new stepdad. And we're very disappointed in you, son and or daughter, because you suck at chess. And so that is why you have to now sign up for Aimchess. Aimchess is a digital chess trainer that creates personalized lessons based on positions from your own games and turns your blunders into wonders. Link your Chess24 account or other online chess accounts today and learn the official Aimchess Gambit, which is where you take your opponent's king and then you just fucking eat it. I didn't know I was gonna say that. In-depth analysis, tactics trainer, blunderer, preventerer, whatever the this is, and a new personalized feed full of curated chess puzzles and memes. All of this and more available only at Aimchess.
Hello?
Courtney, did you know that the average Aimchess user...
Oh my god, stop calling me about fucking Aimchess!
You heard it here first. Join Aimchess today and become the world's greatest chess man in the world. Or chess woman. Hi, I'm Magnus Carlsen. I'm Magnus Carlsen, and I own Aimchess. But now you are a Magnus Carlsen instead because you beat me at chess because of Aimchess. That's right, you dumb piece of Aimchess. They asked me to cut that last bit, but I won't. Get 6 months premium free by typing your credit card details, name, and full home address in the comments down below. Aimchess. They put the based in turn-based strategy. What the f*** do you keep paying me for these? Aimchess. It stands for aim chess. Oh shit, I'm out of time. Sign up for Aimchess.
Welcome back to Aimchess Rapid. It's about to get super dramatic between Mamedyarov and Duda. Game 3 is coming up. But now we're going to go back to 1972. Boris Spassky was the world chess champion and Bobby Fischer challenged him. Bobby Fischer did become the world champion in Iceland this year, described as one of the greatest chess players of all time, but also a troubled mind.
Well, I'd like to be a world champion. It's suited for maybe 20 years or so.
When you think about his life, what makes it remarkable is how he ended up. It's not just his genius. It's the fact that when he has won this match, has become the world champion. He basically walks off the stage. He disappears.
It was not possible to get him to play chess. He said, I don't like chess anymore. They have destroyed chess by the computers.
I hate chess. I hate chess. Really, chess just the last few years has changed dramatically with all of this computer stuff.
I tried to get him to come with me to the schools and talk to the children and tell them about chess and all that, but no.
Fischer returned to chess in 1992 when he played a rematch against Boris Spassky in Yugoslavia. But because of an embargo over war crimes, American citizens were banned from commercial dealings with the nation. So Fischer became a criminal.
This is my reply to their order not to defend my title here.
Later, in Japan, he was detained.
The Japanese told me, we will hand him over to the country where he has citizenship.
A small group had been working to get Bobby Fischer to Iceland.
We managed to convince the Icelandic parliament to give him an Icelandic citizenship.
When he landed at the Reykjavik airport, I remember I felt a sense of pride. But we managed,
But the American Foreign Ministry warned Fischer.
You have to realize that if he goes out of Iceland, we will take him at the other airports. Therefore, Fischer never went out of Iceland after that he came. He could not attend to the grave, to the funeral of his mother, or the funeral of his sister, which were the only relatives he had in the world.
Kari Stefansson met Bobby Fischer after he came to Iceland.
I was interacting with one of my heroes when he was handicapped and really he wasn't at least himself as I had witnessed him from distance, as this absolutely boundlessly brilliant man.
His mental health has often been brought into question.
He was very paranoid. He was focused on two particularly evil elements in the world. One of them were the Jews.
And then later, like a typical Jewish snake.
The Jews, according to him, were the source of all evil in this world. And what is remarkable about that is both his father and mother were Jewish. And the second thing was CIA. He was absolutely convinced that the CIA was after him.
His problems which probably stemmed from his childhood, I suspect, because his mother was an activist and she left him alone at their home in Brooklyn. So he was living alone, 15 or 16 years old, studying chess all days.
I'm 15, I'm from Brooklyn. He is 15 years old and he is from Brooklyn. He is the United States chess champion.
Despite his problematic childhood, this troubled genius climbed to the top and played one of the most famous matches in history.
The world sensed him and understood him like one man against the world. He was playing the great power, the Soviet Union, in the middle of the Cold War.
And the beauty of it was that the man who won that was from America, when basically 90% of the chess culture resided in Russia.
Fischer was buried at a remote location 1 hour outside Reykjavik.
We believe that it was his own wish to be outside, far away from most of the crowd, like he lived his life.
There were some aspects of his personality that had some resemblance to the Icelandic sagas, some outlaws, for instance. Icelanders have some sympathy for the outlaws, because the Icelandic sagas are very often about outlaws.
Yeah, I think we should remember him as a man who transformed chess. I think he is the man who brought chess into the public view. We have to remember him as a creative genius. And at the same time as I think we should remember that the genius who performs spectacularly for those of us who are following him is always paying a price for this.
What a chess player Bobby Fischer was. He did stop playing chess and became a very troubled mind, but hating computers. We heard him say that in this video. He invented a new form of chess called Fischer Random, and there will be a Fischer Random World Championship starting in Iceland on Tuesday with Magnus Carlsen and Wesley So and Hikaru Nakamura and many others. And what is this, David? What is Fischer Random?
Yeah, so Fischer Random Chess, it's essentially where you shuffle the pieces on the first rank, and there are a couple of rules. You still have to have bishops of opposite colour, your king has to be between your two rooks, but other than that, your pieces, they can be placed at random, and there's 960 different positions you can start with. Therefore, nobody has the time to study opening theory, and computers, they don't play such a big part in preparation. Still, obviously, it's chess in its essence, but you have more room for creativity. You're kind of starting fresh. It's as if you're starting every game like you were a beginner, you know, just coming to it without all the baggage of opening theory, and it's really, it can be fun to play. I love playing it myself. It's, it's really refreshing.
Yeah, and he obviously invented it because he hated computers. He didn't want openings to be such a big part of it. So inventing this, and now a world championship to be played again. Wesley So is the reigning champion. What do you expect from this world championship coming up?
I suspect that there will be a lot of fun and a lot of fireworks, because often, and a lot of quick games, because often the starting position actually significantly favours the white pieces. And this can be a problem, and because the pieces are located in unusual places, it can be also very easy just to miss a tactical shot. So, I mean, I've had situations when I played and I've lost won in 10 moves.
Wow.
And, you know, you would never see that in a normal game of chess. But here, it just feels quite chaotic and it's beautiful.
Who do you hold as a favourite, David? With, I guess Magnus, Wesley and Hikaru are the three big names.
Yeah, I'm actually going to say Wesley again, just because he has such a good feel for where the pieces belong, coordinating his pieces. And Magnus obviously is strong in all formats, but we have seen him blunder occasionally in Fischer Random Chess. I remember a game where Magnus lost in, I think, 6 or 7 moves to Grishchuk once. He forgot, I mean, castling rules are incredibly difficult in Fischer Random, and he forgot about the rules there. So Magnus, obviously one of the favourites, but Wesley, it feels like he's never in danger. He's very calm. He understands pawn structures. I think he's the man to beat, the reigning champion after all.
Yeah. Looking forward to that as well. I'm going to chill at home and really enjoy the Fischer Random World Championship. I'm also going to lean back now. You guys do the work for Game 3. Mamedyarov has played 2 incredibly strong games so far on the final day of Aimchess Rapid. He is up by 2 points, and with a draw or a win in Game 3, he's going to be the winner of the second match, and the final will have to be decided in blitz tiebreaks. This is a must-win situation for Jan-Krzysztof Duda. He now has to win this one and the next game to be crowned the winner of Aimchess Rapid before it goes to blitz tiebreaks. He has the white pieces. What can he do?
Well, he has to somehow not allow Mamedyarov to attack. And Duda as well. The last 15 minutes were crucial. Has he readjusted? Has he reset? Has he kind of got back to that, you know, calmness that we saw from him yesterday, Duda? If not, then I have a feeling this one's not going to go his way. Mamedyarov is in the zone. What do you think, Jovanka?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. You know, what he did now in the last 15 minutes is going to be absolutely vital. If I were him, I would just splash some cold water in my face, go outside, jump up and down, and try to forget what happened, because the last 2 games were very, very painful, very difficult to recover from. And I also want to say that it's very important for Shakhriyar as well, because he's so close to getting that comeback. He just must not succumb to the nerves. And, well, we see a new tact from Duda. He opens up with the king's pawn, and Mamedyarov opens as well. in the same manner, I think we're going to see him go back to his trusted favourites.
Yeah, and it's the Italian opening, the Italian game, sometimes called the Gioco Piano. And, okay, it's not the most quiet variation. Duda's going quite direct very quickly, and this approach is very old. It's been seen for hundreds of years. This bishop move, maybe one of the quieter options, but yeah, I'm very surprised Duda's chosen this last move. Actually, white had options of bringing the knight out, for example, which would have led to more imbalanced positions. Oh no, Jovanka, this is well known as a quick draw.
Oh!
Surely Duda's not going to go for the draw here. They're repeating moves.
Oh my God. It's blitz tiebreaks. Whoa, that was a quick one. What do you think? Are you a little bit disappointed, David?
I wanted to see more fire on the board, Kaja. I wanted to see more, dynamic attacking chess. But Duda, clearly he's still tilting. I think he's a bit triggered by the way that he's been blown off the board today, and he just wants more time to recover. That's risky. And we know the chess gods, they punish players who take quick draws with white. And he took it there with white.
Can you understand him, Jovanka, Duda? Just, maybe because of that tilt.
Yeah, I mean, he clearly was not in the right frame of mind, as David says. But, yeah, I mean, what can I say? It was a gift to Mamedyarov, because there was pressure on him. He had to score a result. And that's all been decided. Now it's all about flexing your blitz muscles, who can play blitz quicker. I mean, Duda, traditionally, I would say, he's the favourite on paper. But I don't know, the way that Mamedyarov has been playing, his style is perfect for those faster time controls. This is so surprising. I mean, still, I did not expect that. I think this is the first time we've ever seen something like that. I mean, we've seen Magnus do that in the 2016 World Championships. I mean, and he also taken other kind of World Championship decisions like that. But we've never had that on the Champions Chess Tour, where someone was like, nope, don't want to play it out in rapid. Let's go straight to the tie breaks.
Yeah, normally it's when someone wants to consolidate their position, right? Build on good work they've done before. But I mean, a draw is the same as a loss. He could have sat there for 15 minutes, just let his clock run, and then played a few more moves, Duda, and okay, it might be a draw anyway. He might lose. It's the same. And that would have given him more time to recover, more time to adapt. But now he's just rushing straight headlong into the blitz. And the good thing is for Duda that in blitz you don't have time to get in your own head, you don't have time to tilt or kind of get down on yourself, but a risky strategy, and he might well regret this. It's 50-50 now, despite Duda in the past being dominant over Shakira in blitz.
Yeah. And what is the time control now? What is it that they have to adjust to, David?
Yeah, so the time control, each side will have 5 minutes on the clock, gaining 3 seconds after every move. So essentially, it's 3 times quicker than what we've seen so far, 3 times quicker than the rapid games.
Yeah. All right, well, the players, they now have a little bit of a break to adjust to this new time format that they're gonna play to decide the whole tournament, the winner of the Aimchess Rapid. 2 blitz games, 1 each with the white pieces to decide it. If they are tied after those 2, then it all will be decided in Armageddon. And while we wait for the blitz to start, well, we can talk some more about Bobby Fischer and Boris Spassky and that great World Championship match in 1972. Game 1 was a big one, and David is now going to take us through it.
Here we are sitting at a replica of the actual chess set that Bobby Fischer and Boris Spassky played on in 1972. The 1972 World Championship match between Bobby Fischer and Boris Spassky is now known as one of the most famous matches in chess history. Against the backdrop of the Cold War and so much political tension, it was unclear whether the match would even take place.
Well, Spassky is waiting.
Up until just a couple of days before the match was due to start, Bobby Fischer hadn't even left the US. He hadn't traveled to Iceland, to Reykjavik, where the match was due to take place.
There's absolutely dead silence in the hall.
He was refusing to play, and in the end, it even came down to the first game. Bobby Fischer arrived a few minutes late.
Wait, here comes Fischer.
And in the end, we did get the match we all wanted to see. Game 1 is now regarded as one of the most famous games in chess history because of a big blunder, the biggest blunder in World Championship matches. In this position, Boris Spassky had white in the first game, Bobby Fischer had black. Having arrived late to the game, Bobby did take a bit of time on his moves. It looked like the game was heading towards a draw, but here in this position, he decided to gamble. It was a big mistake in the end, and it was regarded as a beginner's mistake. In this position, black to play, Bobby Fischer, he decided to play bishop takes pawn on h2. And the reason this is regarded as such a beginner's blunder, a beginner's mistake, is because the black bishop simply gets trapped. The black bishop has no escape route after white pushes the pawn to g3. This bishop now is stuck behind enemy lines, and as we saw in the game, it was lost. What Fischer had missed here is that after black tries to push a pawn forward, to offer the pawn as bait to extricate his own bishop, the white king now makes a march towards that black bishop. The white king goes towards it, the black pawn steps forward, but rather than capture this pawn, allowing the bishop out of its prison, here Boris Spassky simply moved his king towards the bishop again. And what Bobby Fischer had missed is this nice sequence, the pawn pushing forward, going closer to its promotion square, the white king chasing this pawn, and after the bishop does try to make its bid for freedom, this final move at the end of the variation. The bishop only has one escape square, it's this one, the e1 square, aiming to get out, and Boris Spassky could now have closed the door by bringing his bishop forward, caging its counterpart. We did see in the end Bobby Fischer lose his bishop, and he lost the first game as well.
Massive blunder by Bobby Fischer to get him a horrible start to the World Championship match in 1972. But we all do mistakes in chess. And now one of you at home will be very lucky to get expert help from Grandmaster David Howell. And the lucky one is Jose, and he says, because I want to know why my opponents suggest me all the time to erase the last half of my name. Okay, interesting reasoning here. David, using Aimchess, you're now going to help him improve.
That's right, and let's jump into Jose's stats on Aimchess. Jose here has called himself Jose Fischer. That's why I guess the opponents are suggesting he removes the second half of the name, but with some work using Aimchess, I'm sure you're worthy of that Fischer name. So we start by looking at the general stats. Here, actually, quite decent numbers. We see the inner diamond here. That represents players of a similar rating to you on Lichess. We're looking at your Blitz games on Lichess. First of all, openings stand out as a strong point. 82% accuracy in the opening, far stronger than those of similar ratings. That means you're doing great work in the opening. Keep that up. Tactics, 51%, slightly above average, but could be improved. We'll come to this a bit later. Endgames, likewise, a bit above average. Advantage capitalization, 67% is a good number, but in order to boost your rating, to gain a couple of hundred rating points, this needs work. You should be finishing off your opponents when you have an advantage of +2 or more. Resourcefulness, again, above average, and time management, decent too. But let's go into a bit more detail. So first of all, we see the win rate. What struck me here is with white, you're decent, 48% wins, but 59% wins with black. That means you're scoring very well with the black pieces. Keep that one up, but work needs to be done with white. And in order to show this, let's talk about openings. We see a variety of opening stats here. There are some you can go into on more detail if you sign up to Aimchess. But the one that stood out to me, work on the French defense, and it's this second half that we should discuss. You might benefit from studying some of the common middle game plans and motifs. I think that's relevant for all of your white openings. Jose, if you work on the middle game plans, using Aimchess, maybe with some personalized lessons, you will boost your win rate and boost your rating too. And some details here you can go into on advantage capitalization, tactics. I certainly recommend doing the tactics trainer on Aimchess with some personalized lessons. And of course, our favorite part of every show is win rate per weekday. It's clear that you play a lot over all the weekdays, but you score especially well towards the weekend, Fridays, Saturdays especially. So play when you have time on your hands, when you're not busy working, maybe on Thursdays, and I noticed Wednesdays when you play a lot of games, your results not so good there. So in the middle of the week, maybe get some rest instead, or spend that time working on puzzles, working on chess, play at the weekends.
Yes. Great tip there from Grandmaster David Howell. And in 40 seconds, the first blitz game will start between Mamedyarov and Duda. Duda has chosen to start with the black pieces and finish off with the white pieces. So what should we expect now, Jovanka, from the first blitz game? Time is slashed.
Time is slashed. Everything's going to get fast, furious. I mean, we've been rewarded actually with some brilliant chess, and I'm expecting more of the same. And I really hope that Duda has used that time just to reset his mind. And for Shaq, I want him just to continue doing what he did today, because that was just awesome.
Here he is getting ready. He is on fire today, Mamedyarov, and he's already won one blitz tiebreak in this tournament. He knocked out Richard Report in those blitz tiebreaks. But if we look back to Oslo Esports Cup, Jan-Krzysztof Duda did win a blitz tiebreak against him. So let's see what happens in this one. Do you think it's going to be decided in the blitz, or will we even see Armageddon, David?
It would be fitting if it went to Armageddon, because both of these guys have been so good throughout the entire tournament, prelims and knockouts, and it's going to be so hard to separate them. But yeah, it's hard to say. The way it's going, Shaq is I mean, he'll want to finish it off in the blitz. He knows that maybe as a slightly older player, Armageddon, where it's just a race against time, maybe that doesn't favor him. He wants the chess to do its talking, and yeah, these blitz games, he'll want revenge. Not just the Oslo Esports Cup, but also last season he lost to Duda, so he's lost 2 playoffs, 2 tiebreaks. Is it going to be third time lucky?
He's played very fast though, right? You guys talked about it yesterday as well. Maybe it actually comes with age. You don't want to sit there and suffer with your thoughts, so you make the move.
Yeah, I mean, David actually said that yesterday, that the older you get, the more you can't handle the tension, the more you just want to get the game over with. You kind of make decisions over the board as well, where you just release the tension too soon. And we see Shaq, though, he is getting ready, he's in the mood. I mean, these seconds are so critical.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's like that starting whistle, you know, when you're just about to race.
Oh, yeah.
It's like when the gun goes off and you're sprinting, that 100-meter sprint, and we're in that last bit of the whole tournament, essentially. It is a sprint to the finishing line.
Yeah.
So who starts off, I think, quicker? That's going to be a huge thing. Who can adapt? And yeah, we saw him looking very tense there, Shaq, but I think he caught himself feeling tense, and he's like, okay, let's take a break, let's take a breath. I need some water, or need to get out of my head. I think it's instinct as well. He's been playing a lot on instincts, but he's going to have to rely on it solely during the blitz games.
Yeah, we just saw him take a big sigh. You know, he is calming his nerves, because I can tell you, you're riddled with tension, adrenaline, just anticipating what your opponent is going to do. You know, you're thinking, should I do some last-minute preparation? When will the arbiter say go? When will my opponent's move appear on my board? And okay, they're off.
Yep.
Here we go. All right, Duda is missing. Ooh, let's see if he joins us on the camera. But the moves are coming out.
The moves are coming out, and it's another Ragozin defense. This is the exact same opening that we saw in game 2 earlier, the second rapid game. And now Duda slightly mixing it up. He didn't go for this pawn push previously. Remember, Mamedyarov won game 2 today, so Duda changing tack here, changing up the strategy. And this is still very well-known stuff. It's what has transposed to the Vienna game, and one of the main lines there. A knight gets captured, Black's bishop captures a knight. This is actually a pawn sacrifice for White. White's king also moving, but in return, White has superior development. Look at those 2 white pieces in the middle, and White gets quick activity.
Yeah.
White's rooks are going to come into the game. Black's king, not great. Black's piece is not great.
And the Black King has to step forward into the centre, and now expecting a rook to come and attack the Queen. Queen must step backwards. And, well, I mean, I don't know. I'm just checking. The big theory in this position is actually to step centre pawn forward and throw another pawn off the board.
Yeah, but a lot of these lines do lead to forced draws. And I remember last season, Mamedyarov had this forced draw against Aronian a couple of times in this exact variation. Duda's clearly done his homework. It feels, again, so provocative. Just allowing this type of imbalanced attacking position. Look at Black's king stuck in the middle again, never going to castle. Normally can't get away with this against Mamedyarov, but Duda, he's trusting himself. He's not backing down. He's not changing strategy. Interesting. So, OK, Mamedyarov didn't step forward in the centre, which would have been very aggressive, but maybe would have led to some forcing variations. Instead, Mamedyarov just created a square for the white king to step to. And Duda offers a trade of bishops.
Yeah.
Capture that piece, Jovanka?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm not sure. I was going to say yes. It's very hard to say. My instinct was yes, but then I thought, no, why should I just help Black get their pieces developed? And my instinct is actually now to preserve the bishops. I have to say the players now are no longer in the realm of theory. This is totally new, and both players will now be freestyling and, wow.
Wow, evaluation bar shooting up for Duda.
Why
you mentioned
that?
freestyling. The one downside to Mamedyarov's play in general, and it has been throughout his career, against the very top guys, he freestyles a bit too much, and it does backfire. It needs a lot of energy. OK, Duda's rook now coming across. It's that tension we mentioned earlier in different positions, but same concept. A rook opposite the opponent's queen. Black's rook now X-ray vision indirectly attacking that white queen.
White piece is in big trouble. I mean, if you take a look at the knight, unsupported, and the queen comes to the edge of the board, but that's not going to resolve anything.
There is maybe a threat of white's queen swinging across. Black's king is on a vulnerable diagonal, but this must mean that Black has a strong move right now. The evaluation bar, sorry, it's just it says it's almost winning for Black, but how can that be true? It looks, on the face of things, very scary for that Black king. White's queen is coming. Duda must have... I mean, this is a critical moment already. It's only move 16. Maybe Stockfish, the computer here, can give us a hint. What is Black's best move? Because to me, it's not obvious. How about you, Jovanka?
No, it's not obvious to me, and that's why I took a look at what the computer's saying, and this is the solution. You develop your knight. That's so calm. Just to allow the queen to swing across to give a check. And Duda says, no, I don't want any of that. I want to control the position. He wants to control Mamedyarov's activity.
Yeah, and this is very clever. It's counterintuitive, putting the Black queen now opposite White's rook. Again, don't try this at home. But the justification is that White's knight in the middle is under threat now. There's also a pin. White's bishop is pinned on this B file. You've got to be careful where you move it. You don't want the Black queen to grab a piece. Also, all checks are blocked. So Mamedyarov is forced backwards on the retreat. You don't want to sound the retreat when you're a pawn down. Remember, Mamedyarov did sacrifice a pawn with this opening choice.
But is this a piece sacrifice or no? I mean, I'm just wondering whether Black can make use of the queen and the rook eyeing each other.
Yeah, I think White's bishop can step back and defend its rook on this B file if necessary. Duda, what a move, just so calm. Just happily playing with his king in the middle of the board, playing without his knight, without his rook in the corner.
Yeah.
But maybe it's just strong. White doesn't have full coordination right now. White's central pawn under attack by Black's bishop.
And you have to remember that pin is very awkward as well, because there's really only one square the light square bishop can retreat to. And meanwhile, Duda's last move put incredible pressure on the white e4 pawn.
Wow, and Shaq, he's a minute down on the clock. We talked about time usage. He hasn't adapted as quickly as Duda. Also, he's giving up a second pawn. It doesn't feel like it should be enough. Black's bishop, I think, can safely go and grab that white pawn in the middle of the board. The computer says +3 for Black. Looks like an opening disaster for Mamedyarov. Duda just really well prepared here.
And he's taken the pawn. And this is maybe what Duda should have... Well, this is clearly what Duda should have done in the classical. And now he's back in the business. And... Wow!
Shakrel, what a move that is. I don't think it works, but he's opening up an attack against the Black queen, and he was threatening to go in with the white queen, going for checkmate, using that white bishop at the top of the board, but Duda says, no, I'm locking the door. And
I'm not going to take your queen.
I'm not going to take your queen. That's the trick with Mamedyarov. Don't let him sacrifice. Call his bluff. And this counter-attack, letting the Black queen drop, going for the white queen instead. This, yeah, it's game over. Look at White's pieces dotted around the board. Queen one side, bishop one side, rook one side. They're not coordinated.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to save all his pieces. And, of course, he's still material down. And Black's king, no problem whatsoever.
Yeah, as long as there's no checks, Black's king is safe. And the problem is, how do you keep pieces on the board? The white queen, I guess, is going to move, but White's bishop, he put it there for fun. He was creating a threat, but it's trapped almost.
Yeah.
You're going to have to lose that piece.
And it's not just that, it's also the bishop is coming down to take the rook. Once the queen steps away from the this e8, h5 diagonal, it's over.
I mean, it's going to be over soon, Jovanka, you're right. All of White's pieces are attacked, and do we see a result? We do. Duda takes a win in lightning quick style.
All the games between these two are just rapidly over, blitzing over. He takes the lead here, Jan-Krzysztof Duda, after losing today's rapid match, winning a great game with the black pieces here. And in only 5 minutes, blitz game number 2 will start, and he will have the white pieces. With a draw or a win, he's gonna be the winner of Aimchess Rapid. Mamadjarov, he needs to make another comeback and win that game to take it to Armageddon. And this one, over in 20 moves, what happened?
Yeah, live by the sword, die by the sword is Mamadjarov's motto. And in this game, unfortunately, his attack didn't work out. It started around here, where White has sacrificed a pawn, but the black king is in the center, looks like a clear target. Duda found a very nice calm move, moving the bishop. This bishop is attacking the central pawn, and it cannot be captured. If the bishop is captured, actually, there was a pin on the b file. Black's queen could happily go hunting and capture a rook with check. So this bishop couldn't be taken. White's king moved out the way. Duda grabbed a pawn, but this was the critical moment, the moment the game was decided. Mamadjarov, he should perhaps just move this rook that's attacked off this square. There's a few squares you could choose. Instead, he went for something flashy. He went for a trick, which backfired. He brought his bishop up. Typical Shaq attack here, going for checkmate, using queen takes pawn as an idea, using the bishop as well to crash in on this square. Also a double attack because he hits the black queen, but Duda had foreseen this and very quickly reacted with a counterattack, dropping back his bishop, hitting the white queen, and suddenly there's too many pieces attacked. The queen, the rook, and the bishop at the top of the board. White can't save all of them, and if, for example, he takes the black queen, then after a trade, White is losing a piece. This bishop is under fire and this rook is under fire. You can't save them both. That is why Mamadjarov threw in the towel and resigned.
And now he has to make a comeback, just like Bobby Fischer had to do in 1972. He lost the first game, but made a massive comeback.
Game 6 always seems to have a special place in World Championship match history. It was no different in 1972 between Fischer and Spassky. By Game 6, Fischer had leveled the scores. It was 2.5 points each. And Game 6 is where he took control of the match. On move 1, Fischer surprised Spassky by opening with the English opening instead of his usual 1e4. This psychological blow, Spassky simply couldn't recover from. And later in the game, after a really nice opening, we arrive in this position. And simply, it's a huge attack for White. If you look at the rooks, they're on a powerful open line. White's queen nicely centralized on the same diagonal as the black king. All that's needed is a killer blow. And Fischer found the winning motif. He found the breakthrough in really nice style. First, Fischer simply stepped back with his queen. His favorite piece, remember, Fischer, is his light-squared bishop. He lines up the queen and bishop on the same diagonal, indirectly attacking the black knight. The black knight decided to move. Spassky brought the knight forward, and this was the finishing touch. Fischer sacrificed one of his rooks for the black knight, and after a recapture, he brought his other rook into the attack. Note how the black pieces are too passive, they can't defend, and after a few more moves, we saw a result. The final move of the game, of the famous Game 6, Fischer's immortal game, was queen to f4, lining up the queen against this pawn, going for the black king, but more importantly, threatening to bring the rook to f8, a double attack against the black queen and the black king. This last move, queen to f4, forced Spassky to resign, and for the first time in the match, Fischer took the lead. From then on, he went on to dominate.
And he did become World Chess Champion in 1972, Bobby Fischer. On Tuesday, the Fischer Random World Championship will start in Iceland. That's going to be super exciting, and so will blitz game number 2. That is Mamadjarov getting ready for that. He's in a must-win situation, but he's tackled that before, making a comeback today to take it to blitz tiebreaks. He lost the first one, and now he will have the black pieces against Duda. With a draw or a win, Duda will be the winner of Aimchess Rapid. So what will we see on the board, do you think, David?
It's hard to say. Duda, he should, I think, stay consistent with his strategy, fighting fire with fire, just that all-out clash. He has the safety net as well of Armageddon, even if he loses Duda. Playing it safe might backfire. We've seen that fail several times throughout the tour. And he starts with the Reti, bringing his knight out.
Yeah. It was a strategy that brought him success yesterday.
Yeah.
So how is Shaq going to open with the queen's pawn?
Yeah, we saw Shaq gesture earlier. Maybe he hasn't got everything started, maybe some tech issues.
Oh, yeah.
Because 30 seconds now he spent on this first move. That is valuable. I think they will go and give him that time back when they've sorted out these tech issues. 30-second handicap in Blitz could be all the difference. And yeah, it's clear that something's happening right now.
Yeah.
Maybe they just need to restart, refresh the game.
So what is the regulations here? When there's tech issues, he will be given that time back.
Yeah, I think if it's not his fault, if it's just, unavoidable issues, then it's only fair that the player gets their time back. Also, it's a very important game. We don't want to see this end on an anti-climax with a player running out of time or any disconnection issues. If it was halfway through a game, it is different. Then the player would have a certain amount of time to reconnect. But we're only just starting. I'm pretty sure Duda, he's a gentleman as well. He would want everything to be fine when things start.
But still, it must be annoying. You're supposed to spend this time before the game starts to be in a little bit of Zen mode, go through your plan and calm yourself down. And here he is probably talking to an arbiter and just fixing the tech stuff. Yeah, look at that. It doesn't look like it's working.
Yeah, you're right, Kaja. It's very off-putting. Can Mamedyarov readjust in time?
It's actually off-putting for both players.
Yeah.
Because Duda, of course, is also pumped up, getting ready for the games to begin. And we see Shaq sit up. Is something happening? He's typing to the arbiter.
But it reminds me of something that happened in the FTX Crypto Cup in Miami. There were tech issues in a game between Duda and Niemann.
Yeah.
They had to pause, actually, Duda's computer, just the power. He hadn't, or the organizer hadn't put in the power cord. And Duda came back he was actually losing that game, but he came back very strong.
Yeah, he's very good at kind of freestyling Duda and just being in the moment, thinking on the fly. If you give him a random position, just jump in fresh, he'll be able to navigate the complications well. And it's the same in chess. It's like if you just get thrown in, 5 minutes on the clock, no time to prepare. I think that favors Duda. Mamedyarov, again, he needs to be inspired. He needs everything to be perfect, to be fully focused, and not ideal.
No.
Far from ideal. And, OK, 3 minutes have been lost on his clock. He will get that time back, I'm pretty sure. And we will sort out these issues. It looks like Duda as well, a moment ago, was maybe talking to an arbiter or just waiting to get an update. Yeah, it'll be worth it. It'll be worth the wait.
Looks like he's typing, so it's probably not fixed yet. We haven't seen a lot of technical issues this season on the tour.
No, we didn't have the drama that we had, apart from this game between Duda and Niemann.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember on season 1, we had this huge drama with Levon Aronian. Like, the power had gone out in Yerevan.
That's true.
And he was just banking on the power on his laptop surviving.
True.
And it was a big race against time.
Yeah.
Would he finish the game?
That's true. Oh, that was dramatic.
The stress.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a power cut as well in Miami, if I remember correctly. It wasn't just not just the wire. Another day there was a power cut which affected all the players. I mean, it was unavoidable. It affected the whole region, but yeah, the players, they're used to this. I remember in Gibraltar one year there was a power cut and players were playing by candlelight in the basement where it was like pitch black.
Yeah.
There's some great pictures. Literally just candles, but you can barely see the board, but they kept going.
Yeah, that happened to me. It happened twice, actually, in 2 different years. It happened to me there. I was down there playing. It was pitch dark, and we had these like candles, these lights happening. I mean, it was very creative by the organisers and the arbiters to think of this solution.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that.
Sounded kind of cozy. And there is a message now from the head arbiter that Mamedyarov has had an issue, but he will start, and he has started, and he has received all his time back. So here we go. This is the must-win game for him. Any other result means Duda wins Aimchess Rapid.
Yeah, and these two, they've both been so good the entire tournament. It's coming down all on this game now. And it's the English opening. So it started as a Reti, White's knight coming out, but we call it the English opening because of those two c-pawns, White c-pawn, Black c-pawn, they're out and it's symmetrical. And, OK, both sides fianchettoing their bishops on their long diagonals. Duda's going for a slower approach. But this one does mean that there'll be maximum tension. Very rarely do pieces get traded off here because there's no confrontation in the centre. Both sides flexible, the variety of plans at their disposal. But what do you think of this opening choice, Jovanka, from White's point of view?
Yeah, it's very cagey, isn't it? Like you say, it kind of keeps all the pieces on the board. It's going to be a very slow game. I think it's OK to begin with. I mean, he must have gone into this game with a certain strategy in mind. And you have to remember that, of course, Mamedyarov is in a must-win situation, and he's not really going to appreciate those situations where it's all very tense. Remember, his style is to go forth and conquer. And he puts his knight to the edge of the board. That wasn't the most popular move according to my database, but it has been played several times.
Yep, still a well-known plan in general for Black. That Black knight on the edge of the board doesn't look great, but it will recentralize itself soon. Mamedyarov first castling, Duda copying. And yeah, the reason I'm slightly surprised is this one is maximum tension. It's all about nerves. Yes, Mamedyarov likes to be a bit more direct, but Duda with White, normally top players nowadays, the strategy is to be direct and just hoover up all the pieces and go for that draw that's required. OK, Duda pushing a pawn. This might preface a further pawn advance on this left side for White. Mamedyarov copies.
Yeah, but
copycat chess.
This is the whole point. The rook will swing over, and now White is gearing up to expand on the left side of the board. Obviously, you can't do that well, you can do it. Actually, what am I talking about? There is a knight sitting there at the edge of the board. Come on, Duda. Push forward with a b-pawn. 2 squares forward.
Yeah, so the idea is if Black's bishop in front of his king ever moves, then White's dark square bishop will go and capture that Black knight on the edge of the board. So Black's knight, he does play your move, Jovanka. So this is a trade, essentially, an offer of an exchange. Black's dark square bishop can go and capture White's knight over there on c3, but then White's bishop will go and capture Black's knight on the edge of the board. So a bit of a weird, unusual way of trading pieces. Normally, the pieces kind of trade off for each other. But not in this scenario. Instead, Mamedyarov, I think this is a wise choice, just centralizes his piece, and Duda protects the knight that was attacked. And yeah, we will see almost symmetry, complete symmetry, actually, in the position if Duda trades off a set of pawns now, which it would be very logical. But symmetry doesn't, in this case, mean a draw because there's still all the pieces on the board. And only 2 sets of pawns have been exchanged. And OK, Mamedyarov pushing in the centre. He loves pushing, gaining space in the middle of the board, because once you push in the middle, it's easier to dart off and attack on either side later.
I really like what Mamedyarov is doing. You know, he's threatening to push that d-pawn 1 square forward and just try to disrupt White's pawn structure. So this is going to be unpleasant for Duda to handle.
Yeah, would you block things up in the middle now, Duda? You can kind of push White's pawn to block this Black pawn that's just moved.
No.
You wouldn't?
I wouldn't do that because swings and roundabouts, yes, you prevent Black's plan, but at the same time, you concede a very important c4 square. So I would say, no, don't do that. You've got to fight this fire with some water and just maybe move the knight out of the way.
Yeah, makes sense. And compared to the last game, at least, clock times, it's a complete reversal. Now Duda is down to 3 minutes. Mamedyarov's up at nearly 4.5. In the last game that Mamedyarov lost, it was him burning time early that cost him. And now the shoe's on the other foot. White's queen, meanwhile, moving. Also quite sensible. Just connecting the white rooks. Now the white rooks can bring themselves to better squares. And yeah, I mean, clock time, often I found this as well in my own blitz practice. With White, there's this psychological burden that you have to prove an advantage or you have to create something, and that costs time on the clock. So even though Duda only wants a draw or only needs a draw, somehow that's maybe in his head, and he's overthinking. He's not been quick up to this point.
No, and Shak is playing very solidly. He's not making any committal moves whatsoever. I fully expected him to be maximalist and take as much space with the pawns, but he's like, no, let's first develop the pieces. He's learnt the lessons from the last game, and instead put the queen out, connect the rooks, and then fight for the battle, fight in the battle of open lines.
Yeah, maximum tension right now. Duda, again, 1.5 minutes down on the clock. That's a huge disparity on time, and I'm getting worried. This is not a Duda type of position either, necessarily, or he's a universal player, but his instincts aren't in these blocked positions where it's hard to come across a plan. His instinct is, again, to play on the front foot, go forward. He steps his rook forward. Mysterious move. That rook is on a loose square, and Mamedyarov, he doesn't actually worry about necessarily playing the most accurate move. He's just playing quickly. He's putting pressure on the clock, and that's a valid strategy. Duda shaking his head already. Is he back in that tilt? And White's knight stepping back. That knight was in the way of White's rooks. Makes some sense, but not a good square. That White knight still needs 2 or 3 moves to get to a better circuit. Shak chases it back.
And this has been Duda's sneaky plan all along. It was to maneuver the knight to b3 to work from where it can jump to c5. And you can see Duda is satisfied with this plan. And I like the calmness of Shak. He's like, no, OK, fine. I'm just going to retreat my bishop.
So White has a weakness. Black also has a weakness. The 2 b-pawns, one white, one black, they're both isolated. Now White's queen was eyeing up a pawn. OK, a couple of quick moves there. But look at this. Black is the first into the white half. This is the first time a black piece has jumped into the white's half of the board, and that's a phenomenal outpost.
Yeah.
Look at that black knight on the c4 square. Anchored by 2 pawns, protected, can never be removed.
Yeah, I have to say, I feel that Duda is the one struggling big time here, because Shak has control of the A line, he has the better bishops, and of course the better knight. And Duda now in defensive mode. Maybe the strain and the stress of having to just draw this game is starting to take its toll.
Yeah. Meanwhile, there is a plan, at least for White. What Black has done with his knight in the white half, White wants to do to Black in his half. So he wants to copy, and White's knight is going in between the 2 black knights next move. Yeah, it's going to be really hard to evaluate whose knights are better. It's just so blocked in the middle of the board. And the one thing Shak can't allow is a whole bunch of exchanges. So tension between the rooks, the longer it goes on, it's going to be unclear who that favours. OK, he just moves his queen, getting ready for the other black rook to go to the A file to join that tension over there. And yeah, Duda, it still feels like he's fine, but the clock time worries me.
Knight jumping in.
There it is.
Will he get rid of it? Yes, absolutely.
Wow. OK, this comes with pros and cons. White's best piece is removed, but Black is giving up control over all the dark squares. Very risky strategy. I'm expecting White to take this bishop back. Normally we say towards the centre, so White's b-pawn should capture, but this is a stronger way because White's dark square bishop, look at it, on the bottom of the board, behind the white queen, has a nice diagonal now. If it gets to c3, it's going to cut across and look at the black king side. Oh, this one, I mean, it's so tense. It's not clear who has the advantage on the board, on the clock. Still Mamedyarov.
Yeah.
Can he keep up the pace?
Duda, he is in the lead in the Blitz tiebreaks. It is Friday night. It's been looking like he's snacking on some chocolate, enjoying himself today, Jan-Krzysztof Duda. But in this game, is he enjoying this? The bar is now going over to his side.
Yeah, again, we talked about the bishop pair a few times this tournament, and I do think White's bishops have potential, despite the fact it's blocked and closed right now. I'm looking at that white dark squared bishop, and I'm thinking that's the potential winner. That's the MVP, as they say. Most valuable piece. And Black's queen just defending some pawns right now.
And Duda, well, what a turnaround. You know, he's really manoeuvred his pieces beautifully.
And how calm is Duda? He's got 1 minute on his clock.
Yeah.
Crucial match, tournament decider, and he's just sipping his drink a moment ago. And retreats the white queen.
I love that retreat. I mean, it's just so sophisticated. Gets ready just to perhaps look at the left side of the board. And at the same time, this queen is perfectly placed in case he wants to get aggressive and start pushing some pawns in the middle. And wow, Shakriar, he's lost patience. He has now struck, he's ruined his perfect pawn structure. And this is it. I mean, but this is very, very weakening.
Yeah, it's very weakening. Black's pawns in the middle of the board look nice, but they are targets, especially for White's light squared bishop. Clear targets there. I guess he just had to fight on dark squares. This is his idea as well. He's going active. He's starting to set threats. White's rook is attacked by Black's bishop. And yeah, black had to put one pawn on a dark square because potentially he was weak on that color complex. The rook moves, and the bishop offers an exchange. This is clever. If you remove white's light squared bishop, which has happened... Oh, there's a blunder.
Oh,
okay.
no.
I was going to say strategically black was doing well, but this knight drops off. Black's pawn is overworked. If black captures this rook, the white queen goes and captures the black rook. White has one apiece.
Oh, no, and he resigns. It's over. Jan-Krzysztof Duda wins Aimchess Rapid after a massive tournament. He won the preliminaries. He knocked out Magnus Carlsen in the semi-finals, and he wins a fantastically entertaining final against Shakhriyar Mamedyarov in blitz tiebreaks, winning both games. How impressive by Jan-Krzysztof Duda, the 24-year-old from Poland. Not the best way to finish it, of course, for Mamedyarov, a blunder. What happened?
Yeah, sad for Mamedyarov to finish the tournament on this note, but he's been phenomenal, and he's played some of the best chess of his life. It was in this position. White is maybe slightly better. White has a small advantage because his bishop is attacking this pawn, the queen attacking this pawn as well. It's hard to hold that pawn in place. You don't want to weaken your position any further if you're Mamedyarov, but his move now, it looks good strategically. There's a tactical flaw, and it's all to do with these loose pieces. They're in white's half, they are vulnerable, and he moved his bishop in, trying to trade off for white's best piece. This was happily accepted, and here we see Shak's downfall. Rook takes knight, deflecting away this black pawn from the defense of its own rook. One apiece. You've won a knight, you're a piece up, and if the white rook is captured, black's rook also captured. Look at this, white has an extra bishop, and that will be decisive. That's why Mamedyarov resigned, missing this move. Rook takes knight. It's an easy one to miss. Often giving up material isn't on the radar, but there we go. Duda, tactically sharp, and deserved the tournament win.
We're joined by Shakhriyar Mamedyarov, who made just a massive comeback today in the rapid portion. Unfortunately, in the blitz, you lost to Duda. But how do you feel about today, Shakhriyar?
Hello. Of course, it was good rapid games, but after rapid games, I played absolutely very bad 2 games in blitz. I don't know why. But it was very bad. I mean, second game with black, it was okay, but with white, I played a very bad game. I don't know. Maybe he chose very good psychological. He do very well to play in game 3, round 3 draw. I mean, I was preparing to play for all games for rapid. But in this moment, he just played 5 moves draw, and after this, maybe a little bit shock for me.
Yeah, it must be super hard to adjust from rapid to blitz time control. So let's focus on the comeback you made today. Those 2 wins you did in the rapid portion. Is that you playing your very best chess?
Yeah, I played really very good, very interesting chess. Okay, it's easy to play when you know you need to win or lose. Of course, his comeback is very nice and is against Rapport and also today. But you see, against Rapport, I won this blitz games. But today I lose easily blitz match. I mean, blitz I lose very bad. I mean, I don't know what's the secret, but I played very bad these 2 games. Yeah, it's very sad.
I can see that you're very disappointed, Shakhriyar. And what will you do for the rest of the evening now? Are you usually very down after losing a match like you did?
Okay, after the losing game, when you play in tournaments, it's different. When you play near home, it's absolutely different. I think, it's very strange. Yeah, I mean, normally I not lose today. I lose yesterday. Today, I think I won the rapid, most important part of the match. I won today.
Definitely.
Yeah, and for this reason, I don't think I lose today. I think I lose yesterday. It's very important rapid games. Of course, in rapid, it is equal match against Jan. But in blitz, my blitz is not very well in the last few years, and for this reason, I think he was in favorite. And to lose match is absolutely normal, and I played very well today. I think I'm very happy with my results, second place, and to be in final. And okay, my mood is not very bad. My mood just a little bit bad, a little bit. But after a few minutes, after 1 hour, it will be very good.
And Shakira, your first 2 games were really beautiful, really fun to watch. In the first one, when you sacrificed the queen, did you really believe in the position, or it was just just for fun, essentially?
After the game, when I speak with my second, he told me, I told him, very nice game. Yes, he said, no, it was absolutely losing position for you. It's very interesting, but I was believing in my position after sacrifice queen. I think it's absolutely, just equal position. Okay, I was sure white is okay, but I never think white is winning position. For this reason, I just see it like I sacrifice fantastic. I do very good. I play very good game, but after the game, when I check, I see white is big advantage. It was a big surprise for me. But it's more important how you see it, how you play move, how you believe yourself. Yeah? I mean, when you think everything is good, life is coming, and life really is continuing to be good.
It really was a beautiful game, super entertaining. Shakir, congratulations on making it all the way to the final, and thank you for giving us so much entertainment.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you for joining us. And we're also joined by the winner, Jan-Krzysztof Duda. Huge congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, how do you feel right now?
Yeah, I'm of course extremely happy and joyful that I have managed to win the tournament, but I'm very my today's performance was very bad, I think, and yeah, I would love actually to forget about the games I played in Rapid because yeah, I mean the first game was kind of unexpected a little bit to me because somehow I wasn't feeling very comfortable during the entire game, more or less, because somehow I don't believe in symmetry. I mean, in a sense that white. I don't believe in side who is slightly better in symmetry. I always find symmetry, to be like drawn. That's why, for example, I play Petrov or Berlin and so on. Because in general, I just don't believe that you can have problems. And here in this QGA, okay, white is of course for choice because he's better developed. But on the other hand, being black, I would probably feel more comfortable, just to trade everything, clinch, and make a draw. And with white, somehow I was like, the draw is fine, but also it's not really shock position. So yeah, I was uncertain about myself, but then he blundered and went for this very interesting, actually, queen sacrifice. I didn't believe it was working, but somehow I totally lost it. I had, I think, something like 3 minutes and just couldn't calculate any single sensitive variation, I think. I just kind of stopped. My brain stopped working and I was basically burning time and couldn't calculate anything sensible. And I basically didn't know what to do. And I played a little bit randomly as if I had, 10 seconds or something. And of course, losing this position in 3 moves or something was very, very disappointing. But the thing I regret the most was that if you don't know what to do, then why not to push your pawn forward? I just didn't cross the idea of playing c5 c6, which is very shameful, and it's basically the reason I think I lost this game. Also, I was calculating actually to. I was thinking about giving up my queen for the rook, and definitely slightly worse than the game. Probably it was more sensible. Anything was, of course, better in hindsight than losing in 3 moves. Mm-hmm. And Yeah, but I think this defense was was brilliant by him, and and it actually worked wonders. In the second game, I wasn't really playing all in with black, but I was thinking, that it makes sense just to complicate things, and but the issue was that I kind of was blundering everything. Somehow I thought this queen c7. I believe this queen c7 to be smart, just forgetting about queen b3 rook d1, which is I think very bad for me, actually. But he instead chose to sacrifice on e6, like very Shaq-like, and and I was kind of happy actually with this position, but didn't quite know how to proceed. And actually, castling queenside was was the best for me, and I was calculating it. But there, I had to, I would have to, give up my extra piece, and I really didn't want to do this. And I was like, so okay, I will play this rook d8. And after that, everything collapsed very quickly because I was basically blundering like everything. I think I underestimated knight d5 first of all, and then of course I blundered queen h3. After that, I blundered queen h4. Of course, my position was hopeless, but then I blundered knight f4. Of course, after queen f7, I also didn't see knight h5 check, but the way he played was even better, I think. So overall, it's very very pathetic game, and I didn't believe, in my chances in Rapid. Also, I was kind of extremely frustrated and had a feeling that even if I, somehow would have somehow pulled it off in my white game, then like with black, I wouldn't stand any chance. So to win on demand. So I just decided, okay, I don't want to, feel this frustration anymore, and just chose. Actually, the only line I could think of, to make a forced draw with white against Shaq. And after that, I just basically decided, to play in Blitz, because in Blitz, I was feeling actually entirely different in comparison to Rapid, and of course it's kind of pathetic. To abandon my chances in Rapid, but as said, I really wasn't feeling like, and I didn't believe I can come back. So and it basically paid off, one can say. With black, I played this Vienna, which I was actually preparing like in a lot of my games, but didn't have any chance to play it. But somehow I also got kind of confused. Sort of forgot what to do, and but I think he erred somewhere, but of course it's like very complicated all the time, and and I think I was extremely lucky. Actually, it was so unexpected that it was funny, because I was very proud of this bishop c6 move, but then panicked, because after bishop takes e4 there is bishop e8. After that, I just thought, I can take on e8 and have decent compensation for the queen. But then somehow, bishop g6. I found this bishop g6, which looks kind of, random. Maybe it's not a fair word, but like totally unexpected and kind of, very strange, but just winning on the spot. So it was, of course, basically, I would say, match clincher, because you can always lose with white, but I didn't believe I can do it, to be honest, but also wasn't very happy with the way I played in the second game, and was also kind of lucky, that this rook takes e4 tactic was there, because I didn't see it in advance.
I'm not sure I'm going to agree. You were lucky. You played a fantastic final, Jan-Krzysztof. And yesterday, you told us you were feeling tired, and after a long tournament, obviously it's 8 days, so it's Friday night. Are you going to celebrate this?
Yes, a little bit, I guess. Honestly, by now, I have no idea how I would do it, how I would celebrate, but I'm very happy, of course, to win this tournament. And this match also kind of reminds me of my match against Magnus, which had a very, was very similar in a sense that, but it was like, I was like him, I mean, like Magnus, that I won the first match rather convincingly, then somehow in what seemed like, to be like a one match, I mean, won the second match, then I lost 2 games and just, had to play this, Blitz, but I said it was just, different energy for me. I was feeling extremely motivated in Blitz and in contrast to Rapid. So, I have no idea how I will celebrate, to be honest.
We think you deserve a big celebration, Jan-Krzysztof. Winning your second tournament this season on the tour. Huge congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
All right, Jan-Krzysztof Duda. He's the winner of the Aimchess Rapid. He's had a fantastic tournament, winning the preliminaries, knocking out Magnus Carlsen and beating Shahryar Mamedyarov. Has he simply been the best player over these 8 days?
Yep, he showed it in the prelims. He started fast. He kept it up every day. And despite the dips, which are inevitable in any players' tournaments, he finished on a bang as well. Yeah. And those Blitz games, despite what he says, they were very impressive.
Definitely, yeah. Focusing on the negatives, but Jan-Krzysztof Duda is the winner. He started out winning preliminaries, then he knocked out Vidit in the quarterfinals, and in a big semi-final match, he knocked out world champion Magnus Carlsen to make it to the final, where he won the first match against Shahryar Mamedyarov yesterday. He did lose the second match today, but in Blitz tiebreaks. Winning both games, he is the winner of Aimchess Rapid, which is the final regular event this season before the big tour final in San Francisco, starting November 14. Magnus Carlsen is already crowned the winner of the Meltwater Champions Chess Tour 2022, but Jan-Krzysztof Duda is in second place and will be battling it out with Prague in San Francisco to be second place overall on the tour. Liam Lev is also in there to fight, and Ish Giri can also do some damage. Shahryar Mamedyarov is also now qualified after making it to the final. Here it is, November 14. Write it in your calendar. That is the first day of the finals 2022. 4 players will be gathered in San Francisco, and 4 players will be sitting in their homes. All right, it's been a fun tournament, and it's been fun also because our viewers have shared so much fun stuff with us.
They have. They've had us in stitches. Actually, we didn't manage to show so many memes during the games because they were playing so fast and furious. So I'm going to show a few that we liked now before I'm going to announce the winner. So we have one from EMIN who says, "Me trying to get out of my comfort zone." I agree. Very nice. Dmitry Stanislav also has one showing Bobby Fischer and Spassky saying 960 ways to begin a game of chess. Great idea, Bobby. Good one from Dmitry. I like this one from Charlie Bernso, who says, I wish Shaquille said this. And it says, it was yesterday's results. Shaq, I took that personally. Very good. And also, finally, Mike D, Shaq Smash. Ooh. Nice one. Yeah. And the winner of our David Howell mug, well, that goes to Marco Tosic with the Hulk Shaq attack. Nice one. Which is very, very appropriate for how Shaq played the games today. So congratulations, Marco. You are today's winner.
Really has been a lot of Shaq attacks in this tournament. Mamedyarov was sacrificing all over the place to give us super entertaining chess, and he is qualified, you guys, for the tour finals starting November 14. I'm looking forward to that. Where do you fight, you guys?
Yeah, I can't wait. Yeah. Not only does it start on my birthday, but yeah, 8 of the top players in the world fighting it out, and it's going to be a great finale to what's been a really dramatic season.
Definitely. Wow, it really will be. To all our viewers around the world, thank you so much for following us in the Aimchess Rapid, and join us again November 14 for the action in the Tour Finals. So we hope you have a good night or day wherever you are in the world, and we'll see you again in a couple of weeks. Bye for now.